Chapter 50. Only 6 floors remained of the 7 floors of the big wild goose tower. Whether it was hunters or strong mutated zombies. In front of the level 7 psychokinesis Mo, they were just ants that he could casually destroy. Generally speaking, a level 1 psychokinesis could kill hunters that were 2 or 3 levels higher. Because psychokinesis could control throwing knives to attack, hunters could not get close at all. Although the level of psychokinesis was very difficult to increase. But with every increase in level, the strength would increase tremendously. So as long as he reached level 5 psychokinesis, he could kill a level 1 hunter. Now, Mo was already level 7 psychokinesis. Under the control of throwing knives, even level 7 hunters and level 7 strong mutated zombies could be killed with a flip of his hand. At the same time, in the pool of blood that had already dried up. In Mo's mind, notifications continuously sounded. Frowny face killed level 3 strong mutated zombie, evolution points plus 3000. Killed level 2 strong mutated zombie, evolution points plus 2000. Killed level 4 strong mutated zombie, evolution points plus 4000. The 50 strong mutated zombies gave him 120,000 evolution points. The last level 5 strong mutated zombie gave him 5,000 evolution points. So far, his total evolution points had exceeded 150,000. With so many evolution points, it was enough for him to stay at home for 5 months and get a designated reward. Mo already had the idea of returning to the base and staying there for 5 months. At that time, 5 months should be enough to raise his telekinesis to level 8. Level 8 psychokinesis should be able to kill any hunters and strong mutated zombies. But thinking about it again, it was rare for him to come out. There were more mutated zombies at the C9 base. As the saying goes, saving a life is better than building a 7-floor pagoda. Why not go there and save the 1,000 people at the same time? Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. But Mo had some doubts in his heart. Before the zombie leader died, it said, "King will not let you go." That king must be an even stronger existence. How strong would it be? Level 6 strong mutated zombie? Or even the stronger level 7, level 8, or level 10? Or even stronger than level 10 mutated zombies? The more Mo thought about it, the more dangerous the wilderness was. After returning this time, he'd better stay in the base obediently and sign in properly to level up. With that thought in mind, he casually scanned his surroundings. With the help of the blood demon's eyes, he found that the corpse chi here had faded a little, but it did not disappear. Something was wrong. Generally speaking, as long as the zombie was killed, the corpse chi would disappear. Even if there was a blood pool here, the blood in the pool had already dried up. The corpse chi should have disappeared a long time ago. However, the corpse chi in the air didn't dissipate much. Thinking of this, Mo's eyes searched carefully. Finally, at the bottom of the blood pool, broken limbs and broken bodies were flipped over. He found something strange. On the ground of the blood pool, arms as thick as fingers extended in all directions. If one took a closer look, the shape of these finger-thick arms gave off the feeling that they were the blood vessels of a human body. He used the bloodthirsty zombie slayer to gently pry open an arm as thick as a finger. In that arm, other than a small bone and a small amount of muscle, the rest was a large amount of blood. And when he cut off this arm, he could clearly feel that the other arms had shrunk a little. He cut off several more arms in a row. All the small arms around him had obviously shrunk a lot. At a certain moment, these small arms that looked like blood vessels suddenly moved like hundreds and thousands of small snakes. They quickly crawled back to the ground. Mo used the bloodthirsty zombie slayer to dig half a meter into the ground. He didn't see the shadows of those small arms at all. He released the Titan Dragon Claw again. With a slight force, he drew a huge gully about 5 meters deep in the ground. However, he still didn't find those small arms. It was as if they had never existed. Immortal frowned. Something was strange. He thought of the zombie leader's words before he died. He secretly guessed that this blood pool and the small arms that looked like blood vessels might be related to the king that the zombie spoke of. In short, he had to leave this place as soon as possible. Thinking of this, he tapped his feet lightly and jumped to the ground. However, just as he jumped to the ground, he felt that the sky suddenly darkened. It was only noon, and it was a sunny day. Immortal couldn't help but look up. With this look, a faint smile couldn't help but appear on his face. He saw that the sky above his head was dark. They were all mutated bats. Every mutated bat had a pair of small, blood-red eyes. There was no skin on their bodies, and their muscles were exposed. They were covered in blood-red mucus. And each bat had a wingspan of 2 meters. Tens of thousands of mutated bats attacked Immortal. The mutated Bat King in the lead had a wingspan of 3 meters. It opened its huge mouth, revealing 4 sharp fangs. It roared, hiss. All the mutated bats heard this order and spread their wings. They bared their fangs and roared. 100,000 roars gathered at the same time. 100,000 mutated bats also gathered together. Like a blood-red torrent, they rushed towards Immortal. At the same time, on a hill 2 kilometers away, Lu Wang, Guojutao, and Psychokinesis were also watching all of this. Because a large number of buildings in Chang'an City had collapsed. Smoke and dust filled the air. They could only see a blurry figure. At this time, the figure was facing a huge swarm of bats. Guojutao couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Although he knew that this person was likely to be a mysterious expert, the number of bats was too large. And the mysterious expert had been fighting with psychokinesis for so long. The consumption of psychokinesis should also be very large. So now, could he still deal with this huge swarm of bats? In the next moment, Immortal gave them the answer. The tens of thousands of mutated bats attacked Immortal. However, just when they were more than 500 meters away from Immortal. Bang! Almost instantly, all the bats, including the mutated Bat King, their heads all exploded into a cloud of blood mist. His body exploded and scattered in all directions. From afar, the dark cloud that was attacking Immortal instantly turned into a cloud of blood. Then, this cloud of blood gradually drifted with the wind. Seeing this scene, the 3 of them were all stunned on the spot. They were stunned for a full half a minute. Only then did they realize what had happened. The 3 of them all made a gurgling sound from their throats. Guojutao's eyes were full of horror. In his mind, he recalled more than 10 years ago. That night more than 10 years ago. The mysterious expert, motionless, those zombies' heads exploded one after another. And now, this scene appeared again. But today, the heads of these mutated bats exploded more quickly than those of the zombies more than 10 years ago. The heads of those zombies exploded one after another like dumplings being dropped into a pot. And these mutated bats' heads exploded at the same time. It was as if a huge firework had been set off. The fireworks directly covered the sky near the big wild goose tower. The sky was also dyed blood red. Even stronger. The mysterious expert's psychokinesis seemed to be stronger than 10 days ago when the zombies besieged the city. And psychokinesis next to him was 10 times or 100 times more shocked than Guojutao. Chapter 51. Psychokinesis was 10 times, no, 100 times stronger than the shock in Guojutao's heart. As a level 2 psychokinesis, he had tried to use his telekinesis to blow up the heads of zombies. But after blowing up the heads of 100 zombies, he felt dizzy and almost fainted on the spot. That was when he understood. This move seemed pretentious, but it was not practical at all. It used up too much telekinesis, but the results were mediocre. With this effort, he could control 12 throwing knives and easily kill 100 zombies. So from then on, he never used this move again. But now, this mysterious elite only needed an instant to blow up the heads of 100,000 mutated bats. How strong was his telekinesis? It must be known that these mutated bats were level 5 mutated beasts. Their heads were 100 times harder than normal zombies. It was 100 times harder to blow up their heads. In the end, they were blown up by the mysterious elite and turned into a cloud of blood. This was not something he could imagine. He estimated that the mysterious elite's telekinesis had reached level 9, maybe even level 10. On the other hand, Lu Wang's eyes flickered. His cheeks were red with excitement. In the next moment, he jumped down the hill and rushed towards Chang'an City. "Where are you going?" Guo Jutao hurriedly shouted. Lu Wang did not turn his head. A voice came from behind him, "Go and ask the mysterious elite. No matter what, you must ask the mysterious elite." This time, he made a great decision. He would ask the mysterious elite to rescue the 1,000 people with him at all costs. At the same time, under the big wild goose tower, Mo retracted his telekinesis. With his current telekinesis, blowing up the heads of 100,000 mutated bats was a piece of cake. Although it used up a bit of his telekinesis, it was not even 1/10 of his powerful telekinesis. Moreover, he still had 4 brain cell recovery potions in his backpack. Even if his telekinesis was used up, as long as he took the recovery potion, his telekinesis would recover in 5 minutes. At this time, notifications kept coming in his mind: evolution points plus 50, evolution points plus 50, evolution points plus 50. The 100,000 mutated bats gave him 5 million evolution points. At this time, his evolution points had reached 15 million. After a rough calculation, every night, it would consume 1,000 evolution points. This many evolution points was enough for him to use. In any case, it was enough for many, many years. It seemed that when he returned, he would have to hide in the base and sign in properly. He would sign in until he was invincible and could do whatever he wanted no matter where he went. Then, he would come out and crush everything. At this moment, a voice suddenly came from afar. "Mysterious expert, please come with me to save those 1,000 people. I beg you." Mo hesitated for a moment. In truth, he had enough evolution points for more than 10 years, so he did not want to take the risk and go to such a distant place. The king that the zombie mentioned always made him feel a little uneasy. Furthermore, those arms that looked like blood vessels in the blood pool had suddenly retracted into the ground and could no longer be found. This also made him feel uneasy. At this moment, the system's voice sounded. After collecting 10 million evolution points, the system can be upgraded again. Mo system, what's the meaning of this? Why did he have to say it now of all times? However, since the system had said so, he would go and take a look in order to obtain 10 million evolution points. It would not be too late to retreat at that time. In any case, with his speed, there were not many people, zombies, or mutated beasts that could catch up to him. In the distance, the voice came again. "Mysterious expert, I beg you. My parents are still there. If you don't go, it will be difficult for us to save them. Even if we save them, it will be difficult to safely escort them to base C1. I beg you." After saying that, a sound came from afar. Bang, bang, bang. Although there was smoke and dust, the sound could be clearly heard. It was Lu Wang who was kowtowing in Mo's direction. The sound of kowtowing could be heard through the smoke and dust more than 300 meters away. It could be seen how heavy the kowtow was. Mo sighed and said, "A man's life is worth more than gold. The first is to kneel to heaven and earth, the second is to kneel to parents. Other than that, no one has the right to make you kneel. Get up." Lu Wang, who was in the distance, heard this voice. His body suddenly trembled. Then, the pleading expression in his eyes turned into excitement. This was the first time he heard the mysterious expert's response. As long as the mysterious expert responded, there would be a chance. He was so excited that his voice trembled. So you agree? However, there was no response from the dust in the distance. Lu Wang was stunned. He looked disappointed. Listening to the mysterious expert's words, did he agree or not? At this moment, Guo Jiutao also came over. Seeing Lu Wang, a level 4 hunter, kneeling on the ground, he couldn't help but be surprised. After all, in the base, every hunter had an extremely high status. As a level 4 hunter, Lu Wang's status was even higher than that of an ordinary hunter. At this moment, he was kneeling on the street full of ruins. How could he not be surprised? However, after thinking for a while, he knew the reason. He asked softly, did the mysterious expert agree? Lu Wang was stunned for a moment, then nodded. But then he shook his head. Guo Jiutao asked softly, what do you mean? Lu Wang repeated the situation just now. Hearing this, Guo Jiutao's eyes flashed with ecstasy. He reached out and gently pressed on Lu Wang's shoulder. He comforted him, it's been more than 10 years, and the mysterious expert has never responded to anyone. Since he responded to you today, he must have agreed. Lu Wang couldn't believe it. Really? Guo Jiutao patted Lu Wang's shoulder gently. He said, you're the first person in more than 10 years who can make the mysterious expert respond. Maybe, your filial piety touched him. Lu Wang's face finally showed a happy expression. If that's really the case, that's great. Guo Jiutao said in a somewhat feminine voice. The mysterious expert helped us get rid of the bats. The road is clear. Let's hurry up and go. Lu Wang nodded heavily. Then he stood up. In the direction of the mysterious expert, he bowed deeply twice. On behalf of the 1,000 people in base C9, on behalf of my parents, thank you. Guo Jiutao was also full of sincerity and bowed. At this moment, Mo Shi had already left Chang'an city from the other side. In the blood pool just now, the vein-like arm made him feel uncomfortable. He should leave this place as soon as possible. However, although he decided to go to base C9 to save people, he didn't plan to go with these people. He was a person who was afraid of trouble. The more people there were, the more trouble there would be. Soon, he rushed 3 kilometers away. He had already reached the front of the rescue team. He used his telekinesis. The 3 zombies and 2 mutated beasts within a diameter of 1,400 meters had their heads pierced by a few black throwing knives. Now he had to work hard to save 10 million evolution points. Therefore, he had to walk in front of these people and clean up the zombies and mutated beasts. He continued to walk forward and crossed a mountain ridge. The highway passed through a village. Mo Shi's 1,000 throwing knives wandered around the village. He gained more than 1,000 evolution points. At the same time, the rescuers who were 1 kilometer behind him had already found the zombie corpses lying on the side of the road. Chapter 52. Mo Shi didn't go with the rescue team. Instead, he walked a kilometer or 2 ahead of them, clearing the zombies. At this moment, the rescue team finally noticed the abnormality. Deputy Commander Guo, look. A zombie hunter pointed to a place not far ahead. Everyone looked in the direction he pointed. They saw a zombie lying in the grass on the overgrown road. Its body had been corroded by something and only a small part of it was left. Blood was still oozing out of the wound. It gave off an unpleasant smell. It died not long ago. Lu Wang said. Everyone had some guesses in their hearts. They continued to move forward. Not long after, they found another 2 zombies lying on the side of the road. There was also a mutated rat more than a meter long. At this time, someone finally voiced out their guess. It's the mysterious strong man. His words seemed to have turned on the other's voice switch. It must be. Only the mysterious strong man can kill these zombies and mutated beasts without making a sound. This discovery caused everyone to be overjoyed. If the mysterious strong man could go with them, then their success rate would be much higher this time. And the danger would be much lower. I always thought the mysterious strong man was cold. I didn't expect him to be so considerate. He actually helped us clear all the zombies in front. A level 10 zombie hunter said. Guo Jiutao rolled his eyes at the zombie hunter and scolded softly. Who said the mysterious strong man was cold? That's nonsense. The zombie hunter quickly shrank his neck. Deputy Commander, I said too much. I deserved it. As he said that, he slapped himself twice on the face. Everyone burst into laughter. The atmosphere suddenly relaxed. Lu Wang's face was full of excitement and gratitude. In the next few days, Mo Shi led the way in front. The rescue team's speed was much faster. They could walk 70 to 80 kilometers a day. And this was to take care of psychokinesis. Psychokinesis's body was like an ordinary human's body. If they walked too much, they couldn't bear it at all. These rescue team members wanted to walk faster and catch up with the mysterious strong man in front of them. They wanted to see who the mysterious strong man who had troubled the entire base for more than 10 years was. However, no matter how fast they walked, the mysterious expert was always 1 or 2 kilometers away from them. And as time passed, the mysterious expert seemed to have sped up on purpose. It was getting further and further away from them. When they were about to reach base C9, they were already 10 kilometers away. On the other hand, Mo Shi had obtained more than 500,000 evolution points in the past few days. His total evolution points were close to 6 million. He looked up at the mountain pass in the distance. After crossing the mountain pass, they would arrive at base C9. He should be able to obtain a lot of evolution points there. That morning, the sky was gloomy. The north wind howled. The wind whistled through the trees. It sounded like the cries of ghosts and howls of wolves. Not long after, the snow began to fall like dandruff from the heavens. In just over 10 minutes, the ground had turned white. Everyone looked toward the mountain pass in front of them. The northern wind had already enveloped the mountain pass with heavy snow. Mo Shi slowly walked forward. Braving the wind and snow, they arrived at the mountain pass. There was already half an inch of snow under his feet. Everyone looked forward. He saw a large river at the foot of the mountain. On the other side of the river was a huge ruin. Base C9. Looking from afar, one could only see a stretch of dilapidated fences and broken walls. Collapsed walls, destroyed buildings. Just 5 months ago, this place was still full of life. But now, it was dead silent. Lu Wang saw this and his heart sank. 5 months. Although the resources of the underground shelter could last these 1,000 people for half a year. But who knew if something unexpected would happen during this time? Everyone followed the highway ramp that was already covered with weeds and entered the toll station. The sissy Guo Jiutao gestured to everyone to be careful. No one knew how many zombies there were in this city. Although there was a mysterious expert nearby. But everyone still had to be careful. Otherwise, no matter how strong a person was, they would not be able to bring along a pig teammate. After entering the city, everyone became even more careful. Guo Jiutao asked Lu Wangxian to lead more than 10 people to scout the way. The rest of the people stayed in an abandoned school to provide support. Lu Wang couldn't wait any longer. He led the dozen or so people toward Central Park at a fast and careful pace. The underground of the park was the underground shelter. At this time, Mo Shi had also quietly sneaked into the city. But he did not expose himself. Instead, he went into a building. He used his telekinesis to clear the zombies in the building and came to the 47th floor of the building. From the window, he looked out at the entire city. His blood demon eyes had already seen through the flying snowflakes and saw a large amount of corpse energy gathering in the Central Park. Sure enough, when Lu Wang and the dozen people just arrived at the entrance of the Central Park. At the top of the park gate, a strong mutated zombie suddenly appeared. Seeing the arrival of humans, it did not immediately pounce on them like other zombies. Instead, it opened its mouth and roared to the sky. Roar, suddenly, within a radius of a few thousand meters. Tens of thousands of zombies rushed toward the dozen or so humans. They surrounded the dozen or so humans. Of course, there was psychokinesis among these humans. These tens of thousands of ordinary zombies were no match for them at all. Psychokinesis controlled 12 throwing knives and took only a few minutes to clean up the tens of thousands of zombies. When Mo saw this, his heart was not moved at all. If it was before, these tens of thousands of zombies would be tens of thousands of evolution points. He might feel heartache for a while. But now that he had more than 6 million evolution points, these tens of thousands of evolution points were not in his eyes at all. His pupils were blood red. The blood demon eyes kept sweeping back and forth. On the wall, the strong mutated zombie saw that ordinary zombies were no match for these humans. It opened its mouth and roared again. Roar, the snowflakes in front of it, under this roar, were like waves, rippling away layer by layer. Accompanied by its roar. In the park that was already overgrown with weeds, hundreds of mutated zombies suddenly rushed out. At the same time, hundreds of mutated zombies also rushed out from the half-collapsed buildings behind them. When Mo saw this, his eyebrows slightly furrowed. Although these hundreds of mutated zombies were strong, but they were far from reaching the point where the corpse energy was so dense. There must be something strange in here. So he still did not move. The humans below, dealing with these 200 mutated zombies was not a problem. Sure enough, these 200 mutated zombies were not enough for Lu Wang alone. In a moment, blood flowed everywhere, broken limbs and bodies were everywhere. In the end, after more than 200 mutated zombies were killed, more than 10 strong mutated zombies appeared. But these more than 10 strong mutated zombies were only level 1 and level 2. They were still not a match for these humans. After killing all the powerful mutant zombies, everyone could finally breathe a sigh of relief. It seems that after 5 months, those strong mutated zombies and mutated beasts have already retreated. That's right, otherwise there would not be so few strong mutated zombies here. Hurry up, open the shelter. Otherwise, when other zombies and mutated beasts smell the blood here, they will quickly rush over. Sissy Guojutao ordered. Lu Wang nodded heavily. Immediately, he led everyone into the park. On the roof not far away, Mo Shi's blood demon eyes stared at a certain place in the park. Chapter 53. Central Park. The weeds were now as tall as a person. Although this used to be a base and had only been abandoned for half a year, the vitality of the weeds was far beyond people's imagination. Everyone stepped on the weeds and carefully walked inside. After walking for more than 100 meters, they saw a rockery. Lu Wang saw the rockery from afar. His eyes flickered, looking excited and nervous. He said in a low voice, "The entrance to the underground shelter is next to the rockery." Everyone was also happy. Their footsteps also quickened a little. A moment later, they arrived next to the rockery. There were also some mutated zombies and ordinary zombies near the rockery. Psychokinesis used throwing knives to easily get rid of these zombies. Then, everyone followed Lu Wang and went up the rockery. Halfway up the rockery, under the stone wall, there was a huge rock that was as tall as a person. Lu Wang kicked the huge rock away. A metal door was revealed behind the door. The metal door looked much thicker than ordinary security doors. Lu Wang tried to knock on the door. The rhythm changed, 3 long and 2 short. Inside the door, there was no sound. Lu Wang's expression changed slightly. Then, he knocked 3 more times in a row. There was still no response. Lu Wang's expression suddenly became ugly. His voice was slightly trembling. He said, "When I left, I made an agreement with them. If anything happened, I would bring people back to rescue them." The effeminate Guo Jutao gently placed a hand on his shoulder. He said, "Don't worry, try again." Lu Wang nodded. He continued to knock for a while. The more he knocked, the colder his heart became. "My parents are still inside, my parents are still inside." At a certain moment, he seemed to be unable to bear this huge pressure anymore. He threw a few fierce punches at the metal door. Bang, bang, bang. Although the metal door was thick, it could not withstand the continuous bombardment of a level 4 hunter. Finally, boom, it collapsed with a bang. A pitch-black passage appeared in front of everyone. Lu Wang was about to walk in. But Guo Jutao pressed on his shoulder again. Then, he waved his hand, and psychokinesis's telekinesis probed into the door. However, in the next moment, psychokinesis's expression changed drastically. He exclaimed, "Spread out." Before he could finish his sentence, a huge head popped out of the hole that had just been opened. He opened his mouth and bit down on psychokinesis. Ah! Psychokinesis's screams had just been heard. It had already been swallowed by the head. When everyone saw this, their expressions changed drastically. They hurriedly fled in all directions. When he looked back, he saw that the head was the size of a square table. Oval shape. Clearly, it was the head of a blood-red python. However, there were more than a dozen 1-meter-long barbs on its head. After swallowing the psychokinesis, it raised its huge head and roared at the sky. Roar! The ceiling above his head also opened up. In the next moment, a huge body suddenly jumped out. The door in the passageway was unable to withstand the impact and collapsed with a loud bang. At this moment, everyone finally saw its true appearance. It was a mutated python that was about 50 meters long. The giant python's body was covered with distinct blood-red scales. On its back, there were triangular ridges. It roared at the sky and swam towards everyone. Guo Jutao did not hesitate. His right arm quickly changed and quickly turned into a 100-meter-long drill bit. With Guo Jutao's combat experience, he could naturally tell that this giant python was not an ordinary mutated beast. It was a strong mutated beast that was even stronger than mutated beasts. It was estimated that its level had reached around level 3. Therefore, he used a genetic weapon the moment he attacked. His drill bit rotated at high speed and pierced the giant python's body. Ding, 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 sparks flew everywhere. The giant python's body rolled slightly. The drill bit was deflected and hit the fake mountain beside it. Rumble, the fake mountain that was more than 20 meters tall suddenly collapsed with a loud bang. When everyone saw this, their expressions turned grave. Even a genetic weapon could not do anything to it. The strength of this giant python had probably reached level 4. It might even be higher. However, this was not the most terrifying thing. The most terrifying thing was that when they were confronting this mutated giant python, more than 20 giant pythons jumped out from the surrounding grass. The strength of these giant pythons was extremely terrifying. Psychokinesis flying knives could not even pierce through their scales. Not to mention injuring them. Next, they tried to use rockets and other genetic weapons to attack these mutated giant pythons. However, the bodies of these mutated giant pythons seemed to be cast from copper and iron. No matter what methods they used, they could not break through their defense. However, the rescue team did not despair. This was because they knew that there was a mysterious powerhouse standing behind them. At this moment, they only needed to do their best and persevere in battle. The mysterious expert would naturally appear. Soon, these humans and the mutated giant pythons fought. However, with their strength, they could not even deal with one mutated giant python, let alone more than 20 of them. Right at this moment, Immortal finally made his move. He leaped and directly jumped down from the top of a tall building that was dozens of stories high. Boom, the ground under his feet cracked inch by inch under the huge impact. The shock wave formed when he landed caused the flying snow in the air to suddenly roll outwards. Then, his right foot touched the ground slightly. Whoosh, in an instant, he jumped 150 meters. With both feet touching the ground, his speed was extremely fast. In just more than 10 seconds, he had already arrived on the battlefield. When a mutated giant python saw Immortal pouncing over, its giant tail suddenly slapped towards Immortal. Immortal's body slightly tilted. Pa! That giant tail slapped the ground. Instantly, a gully more than 10 meters long was created. Immortal's mind power moved. A bloodthirsty corpse-slaying flying knife was taken out. Whoosh! The corpse-slaying flying knife easily pierced through the mutated giant python's head. It was as easy as piercing a piece of paper. Swish swish, a bloody hole suddenly appeared in the mutated giant python's head. And this bloody hole was still bubbling with blood, making a sizzling sound. That mutated giant python did not even let out a scream. Its huge head crashed to the ground with a bang. Then, the second and third giant pythons were easily pierced through by his flying knife. At this time, the other mutated giant pythons saw that this human who suddenly appeared was so strong. One by one, they gave up attacking others. Instead, they all pounced on Immortal. Immortal was surrounded by 18 berserk giant pythons that were more than 50 meters long, but he was not afraid. With just a flying knife, he constantly pierced through these giant pythons. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, every time there was a sound, a giant python died under the flying knife. When the people who were fighting saw this scene, they were all ecstatic. The mysterious expert had finally arrived. Moreover, this time, there was no smoke or blood fog around. They could clearly see the appearance of this expert. He was in his 20s, wearing a very unique camouflage uniform that was similar to the color of animal skin. Although he did not look particularly handsome, he gave people a very special feeling. Everyone was a little surprised. They had thought that the mysterious expert would be a human in his 40s or 50s. After all, more than 10 years ago, before even the corpse hunters appeared, the mysterious expert had already appeared. But they did not expect that the mysterious expert looked like a young man in his 20s. This contrast made it difficult for them to accept for a while. Chapter 54. In the park, amidst the flying snow, Immortal slowly moved forward. This time, he did not deliberately hide his figure. With his current strength, there was nothing in the entire base that could harm him. Naturally, there was no need to deliberately hide. A pitch-black flying dagger that was more than a foot long was hovering around him. Only mutant pythons dared to come up. The black flying knife would instantly turn into a black light and pierce through their heads. For a moment, everyone in the rescue team was extremely excited. The mysterious powerhouse. He finally appeared. It's been more than 10 years, and this is the first time I've seen the mysterious powerhouse. It's a blessing of 3 lifetimes to be the first to see the mysterious powerhouse with my own eyes. The mysterious powerhouse had been hiding in the base for more than 10 years. He had become the biggest secret of the entire C1 base. He had extraordinary strength and saved the base from danger several times. But he had never revealed his true identity. No matter who it was, from the base chief to Oldley of the corpse farm. They all wanted to see the mysterious powerhouse's true appearance. And now, more than 50 of them had become the first group to see the mysterious powerhouse with their own eyes. How could this not make them excited? And among all these people, there were 2 people who had fallen into a daze at this time. One was a level 10 corpse hunter. Cross-eyed Xiao Dou. He fell into a daze that lasted for a few minutes. His mind was blank, and his face had long been occupied by various expressions of shock, disbelief, and so on. 7 or 8 years ago, he was just a corpse farmer. He was a colleague of Mo Shi. Later, when he was injected with the gene enhancer, he successfully strengthened his body and became a corpse hunter. On the same day, he moved out of the corpse farm. Since then, he had never gone back. In his opinion, raising corpses was the lowest job. It was not easy to get out of the corpse farm. How could he go back? Later, on the way, he occasionally met Old Li and Mo Shi, but he treated them as strangers. Because he felt that he was a corpse hunter and his status was noble. He disdained to have anything to do with a group of corpse farmers. However, at this moment, God seemed to have played a big joke on him. His former colleague, the corpse farmer Mo Shi that he looked down on, turned out to be the mysterious powerhouse who had saved the base from danger several times. The mysterious powerhouse who single-handedly killed millions of people. Xiao Dou felt as if he had been struck by lightning. His entire worldview was shattered into pieces. He thought about how he had met Old Li and Mo Shi in the base and how Old Li had wanted to greet him. However, he turned around and ignored them, hurriedly passing by. He immediately felt his cheeks burn with shame. Now that he thought about it, Mo Shi probably thought of him as a clown back then. The mysterious expert that he had been longing to meet all these years was actually a colleague that he used to see every day. It was laughable that he had looked down on him. What qualifications do I have to look down on him? Actually, Xiao Dou was overthinking things. Mo Shi did not take him seriously at all. The other person who was shocked was Guo, the vice leader of the hunter group. He was so shocked that he forgot to retract his genetic weapon. He stood there in a daze. His gaze was fixed on Mo Shi, who was slowly walking over. Others might not know Mo Shi, but as the former vice-captain of District A's corpse hunting team, he had naturally seen Mo Shi before. The corpse breeder and the mysterious expert. The 2 of them were like heaven and earth. But now, the 2 of them were actually the same person. Heaven and earth. How was this possible? At this moment, he thought back to more than 10 years ago. That blurry memory gradually became clear. At that time, he was still the vice-captain of District A's corpse hunting team. He was eating in the cafeteria with the captain and the others. Then, they heard a loud noise coming from the gym. When they hurried over to take a look, they saw that the dynamometer in the gym had been uprooted. It was thrown more than 30 meters away by something. It was also twisted into a fried dough twist. When they went over to check, Mo Shi was holding a dustpan and a broom, stupidly standing at the entrance of the gym. He was obviously scared out of his wits. He remembered that when everyone passed by Mo Shi, almost all of them pulled him aside. They felt that he was a hindrance. Later, they looked everywhere for that mysterious creature, but they did not find any clues. They did not expect that today, this mystery would finally be solved. The mysterious creature at that time turned out to be Mo Shi, the one they thought was stupid. Indeed, this way, everything could be explained. It was laughable that at that time, he and the captain had called Mo Shi over many times to ask what had happened at that time. When Mo Shi said that he did not know, he and the captain had impatiently waved their hands and told him to scram back to raising pigs. Now that he thought about it, all of this was so laughable in Mo Shi's eyes. At that time, Mo Shi probably already thought of them as idiots. Of course, Guo was thinking too much. At that time, Mo Shi did not even take them to heart. At this time, Mo Shi's throwing knife killed those mutated giant pythons one by one. These mutated giant pythons had already reached level 4 to 6 strong mutated beasts. Those hunters below level 4 could not hurt them at all with their genetic weapons. But Mo-Shur's bloodthirsty corpse-slaying throwing knife was the bane of zombies. Together with Mo-Shur's tyrannical telekinesis, he could easily kill these mutated giant pythons. As for why Mo-Shur did not use other throwing knives to kill all the mutated giant pythons at the same time. This was because he felt that things were a bit strange. So he left the other throwing knives in his backpack first, in case of any accidents. At this time, Guo Jiutao recovered from the shock of Mo-Shur. He subconsciously looked at Lu Wang. He was a person as careful as a woman. Lu Wang must have been very anxious when the mutated giant pythons suddenly jumped out of the underground shelter. After all, his parents were still in the underground shelter. He wanted to comfort Lu Wang first. However, when Guo Jiutao's gaze swept across everyone, he found that Lu Wang was not at all. He looked around again. With this look, he saw that Lu Wang had already left the battlefield and was running in the direction of the park gate. "Lu Wang, where are you going?" Guo Jiutao shouted. However, Lu Wang did not turn his head. At the same time, at the gate of the park, there were thousands of mutated zombies rushing in quickly. Among them, there were hundreds of strong mutated zombies. Lu Wang, alone, actually rushed straight towards these zombies. Without hesitation. Everyone heard Guo Jiutao's shout and turned their heads to look. Then they all cried out in surprise. "Lu Wang! Lu Wang, come back quickly. With the mysterious strong person here, everything can be solved. Come back quickly. He must have gone to attract the attention of these zombies and wants us to go to the underground shelter to see if those people are still there." Guo Jiutao's heart surged with hot blood. In order to buy time for them, Lu Wang faced thousands of mutated zombies alone. This was definitely a one-way trip. Gritting his teeth, he shouted softly. "The 5 of you, follow me to the underground shelter. The rest of you, guard the entrance." However, they did not have time to act. Then, they saw a scene that shocked everyone. Chapter 55. At this moment, everyone saw a shocking scene. They saw that Lu Wang was only 10 meters away from the thousands of zombies. But those zombies had no intention of attacking Lu Wang. And Lu Wang did not attack those zombies. The zombies even opened up a path for him. Lu Wang immediately sprinted out of the tunnel. At this moment, everyone looked at each other. What was going on? Even Guo Jiutao, who was the quickest thinker, could not figure it out. Their eyes followed Lu Wang all the way. Until Lu Wang walked to the front of a building in the distance. 2 strong evolved zombies escorted out a middle-aged man and a woman. Lu Wang strode to the man and the woman. He hugged the man and the woman tightly. Then, he took the man and the woman and quickly left in the wind and snow. At this moment, everyone in the rescue team felt as if they had been struck by lightning. Their faces were full of confusion. Guo Jiutao was completely dumbfounded. His shock and disbelief were no less than the shock and disbelief when he found out that Mo-Shur was the mysterious strong man. What did they see? After half a minute, Lu Wang and the man and the woman had disappeared in the wind and snow. Only then did some people come back to their senses. Damn it, he betrayed us. It's not betrayal, it's king trap from the beginning. He came to our base to ask for help, just to lead us to the encirclement of these zombies. There are number 1,000 survivors. There are only his parents. *ck. Even the most elegant person couldn't help but want to curse at this moment. They followed this bastard, risking their lives, and walked for more than 500 kilometers. To rescue the 1,000 survivors. To rescue his parents. But they suddenly found out that it was all a scam. How could they not curse out loud? But soon, someone came back to their senses. If he just wanted to lead us to the zombies, he didn't have to go so far. He could have let the zombies kill us on the way. With this reminder, everyone also came back to their senses. The mysterious strong man. Someone said. Then, all of their eyes fell on the mysterious strong man. Lu Wang did it for the mysterious strong man. Only a mysterious strong man could make the zombies put on such a big show. No wonder Lu Wang had repeatedly requested the mysterious expert to come with him to rescue the non-existent 1,000 humans. He didn't even hesitate to kneel down and kowtow twice. Thinking of this, flames of anger rose in everyone's hearts. Damn it, this brat wants to harm the mysterious expert. Son of AB*TCH, he harmed the mysterious expert, which means he harmed our entire base. This kid isn't human at all. It's a dog, a beast. What's scarier than zombies and mutant beasts is this kid's heart. At this time, Mo Shi only glanced indifferently at the place where Lu Wang disappeared. He sighed mockingly in his heart. There are always unruly people who want to harm me. Betrayal? A trap? In the face of absolute power, all of this was just a child's prank. Along the way, he had already noticed that something was not quite right with Lu Wang. The strength of the zombies that he had killed along the way was not something that Lu Wang could deal with. With Lu Wang's strength as a level 4 hunter, it would be difficult for him to survive for more than a month in such a wilderness alone. He also noticed that every time Lu Wang heard the words, "mysterious strong man," his eyes would flicker slightly. Others might think that Lu Wang was hoping that the mysterious strong man would come with him to save his parents and the 1,000 people. But Mo Shi had the blood demon pupil. The blood demon pupil could not only see the zombie aura, but also see the details that ordinary people could not notice. He always felt that there was something wrong with Lu Wang's flickering eyes. So he had been on guard against him. This was the main reason why he didn't go with the rescue team. But at this time, he was slightly puzzled. Obviously, Lu Wang had some kind of secret deal with the zombies. But how did he communicate with the zombies? Could it be that he also understood the zombie language? Everyone saw that the mysterious strong man knew that he had fallen into a trap, but there was not a trace of emotion on his face. They all felt a lot more relieved. At the same time, they admired the mysterious strong man even more. Perhaps only the strength of the mysterious strong man could be so indifferent, not happy with external gains, and not sad with personal gains. At this time, Mo Shi controlled the throwing knife with his telekinesis and killed a mutated giant python. A notification appeared in his mind. Frowny face killed a level 6 strong mutated beast, plus 6,000 evolution points. He moved his telekinesis again. Shio 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 shio, the foot-long throwing knife was like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. It reaped the lives of these mutated giant pythons. In his mind, there were continuous notifications. Evolution points plus 4,000, evolution points plus 4,000, soon, more than 20 mutated giant pythons were killed. His evolution points increased by another 100,000. At this time, he turned his head and looked at the 1,000 mutated zombies and the 100-strong mutated zombies that surrounded him. This number was still increasing. 1,000. 2,000. 3,000 mutated zombies. 100. 200. 300 strong mutated zombies. The members of the rescue team all had grave expressions on their faces. It must be known that strong mutated zombies were equivalent to a hunter's strength. 10 strong mutated zombies were enough to keep them busy. Not to mention 100. At this moment, a faint smile appeared on the corner of Mo Shi's mouth. Everyone saw the smile on his face. A trace of surprise rose in their hearts. The mysterious strong man was actually smiling. It could be seen that these 100-strong mutated zombies were nothing in his eyes. In fact, they were wrong. In Mo Shi's eyes, the strong mutated zombies were considered evolution points. A strong mutated zombie was worth at least 1,000 evolution points. If it was a level 2 or 3 strong mutated zombie, it was worth 2 to 3,000 evolution points. 300 strong mutated zombies was probably close to 1,000,000 evolution points. In addition to the 3,000 mutated zombies. In total, it was estimated to be about 2,000,000 evolution points. So many evolution points made him secretly happy. The corner of his mouth revealed a smile that came from the bottom of his heart. At the same time, on top of a building in the distance, a zombie and a bird were standing there. On the zombie's face, there were 3 claw marks. The flesh at the corner of its mouth was peeled off by the claw marks. One could directly see the sharp teeth inside. The bird was a fleshless owl with a pair of bat wings. At this time, the mutated owl's mouth let out a screech. Leader, you have successfully broken through to a level 8 strong mutated zombie. This human is probably only a level 5 hunter. This time, you can crush this human. The zombie with 3 claw marks also let out a screech from its throat. This human is a psychokinesis. He is stronger than the average level 5 hunter. However, speaking until here, his eyes showed a trace of disdain. In front of me, he is just an ant. Do you know that humans watch circus? The mutated owl nodded. I know. They will sit in a shed and watch some animals or clowns perform. Speaking until here, the mutated owl's eyes lit up. It hissed, Leader, you are saying that in your eyes, he is just a clown. Chapter 56. The zombie leader heard the owl's words. It didn't answer. It just laughed like a broken gong from its throat. Gaga, the mutant owl also laughed and said, I understand, leader. Then let's watch this clown's performance first. At this time, in the Central Park, more than 3,000 mutated zombies and more than 300 strong mutated zombies rushed towards Immortal and the others. And around the park, there was still a steady stream of mutated zombies and strong mutated zombies, surrounding Immortal and the others. Everyone's face was stern. Holding the weapons in their hands tightly, they were ready to fight to the death at any time. The sissy Guojutao couldn't help but look at Immortal at this time. He asked carefully, Mo, the strong, our entire rescue team is under your command. What do you want us to do? Hearing this, everyone nodded in agreement. The mysterious strong man was the most powerful existence. He could burst out the strength comparable to the gods. No one dared to disobey the mysterious strong man's command. However, Immortal only said 2 words in a flat tone. Watch. Everyone was stunned. At this time, Immortal had already shown 900 flying knives. 900 extremely high-tech black flying knives were suspended around them. Each flying knife was more than a foot long. Their whole bodies were as black as ink. The shape of the flying knives was similar to a short knife. The blade of each flying dagger was composed of dozens of components. With just a glance, one could feel 3 words, high, big, high. The 2 psychokinesis saw such flying knives and looked at each other. They both understood the meaning of that glance. Compared with the flying knives of the mysterious strong man, their flying knives were simply broken. These flying knives, even if not 1,000, were close. To be able to control 1,000 flying knives. How strong was the psychokinesis to be able to do this? Immortal used his psychokinesis to control these 900 black flying knives. It didn't form a black tornado like before. Instead, it condensed into the shape of a black python more than 20 meters long. Don't you like to play with snakes? I'll let you see what a real snake game is. The black python more than 20 meters long flew in the air. Almost instantaneously, they arrived in front of those mutated zombies. The huge mouth suddenly opened. Because the giant python was condensed from flying knives. When the huge mouth opened, the flying knife could rapidly expand outwards. It looked like a giant python's head had suddenly expanded many times over. The huge mouth also instantly expanded by more than 20 times. Hundreds of zombies were swallowed with just one bite. At the same time, the flying daggers in the python's body were spinning rapidly. The zombies that were swallowed into its body were minced into pieces in just a few seconds. Moreover, every bloodthirsty corpse beheading flying dagger would release a strong acid after absorbing the blood of zombies. Therefore, once those zombies were swallowed, they would be corroded by the strong acid. In the end, it turned into black smoke. The giant python's huge mouth continued to swallow. Only black smoke could be seen coming out from behind it. It looked as if it had been fitted with a diesel engine. Everyone was secretly horrified. In just over a minute, over 1,000 zombies were buried in the python's stomach. Furthermore, not a single drop of blood or bone was spilled. This was a steel monster that ate zombies without spitting out their bones. Although there were still zombies around to replenish. But the replenishment speed was not as fast as the black python's swallowing speed. On the top of the building in the distance, the claw-marked zombie saw this and was slightly stunned. This human's telekinesis seemed to be slightly stronger than he expected. But soon, a look of disdain appeared on his face again. After he broke through to level 8 strong mutated zombie, his strength had increased by a lot. How could this human be his opponent? What a joke. Thinking of this, he opened his mouth and roared, "Roar!" This was an order to those mutated zombies and strong mutated zombies. Let them change their fighting style. Those zombies received the order and immediately left some to deal with the black python. Most of the strong mutated zombies attacked those humans. All the humans saw those strong mutated zombies attacking, and they were all shocked. The mysterious strong man was now controlling the flying knife python to clean up the surrounding zombies. He had no time to care about their surroundings. It seemed that they had to take action. However, there were more than 200 strong mutated zombies rushing over. Plus more than 1,000 mutated zombies. Their mere 50 people were simply not enough to deal with them. However, in the next moment, around them, suddenly, 100 black flying knives appeared out of thin air. These 100 black flying knives circled around them and spun rapidly, forming a black flying knife barrier. The two strong mutated zombies that rushed the fastest were instantly minced into pieces by this flying knife barrier. The next moment, the hundreds of strong mutated zombies had no time to stop. They also rushed into the flying knife barrier. Puff 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 puff. All the strong mutated zombies were also minced into pieces and thrown out the moment they rushed into the flying knife barrier. As for those mutated zombies, needless to say, there was no suspense at all, and they were also minced into meat paste. More than 1,000 mutated zombies, more than 200 strong mutated zombies. In just a few seconds, they were all killed in an instant. The surrounding was suddenly filled with a pungent smell. Every piece of meat was emitting black smoke. In a short time, it melted into a pool of blood. All the rescue team members looked at each other. They thought that the mysterious strong man was busy using the flying knife python to clean up the distant zombies and had no time to deal with the nearby zombies. They did not expect that so many strong mutated zombies would be killed in an instant. This strength was simply beyond their imagination. It turned out that when the mysterious strong man said to let them watch, he really just let them watch. On the other hand, the two telekinesis masters were far more shocked than the rest of the people. Multitasking. One of the psychokinesis said in shock. The other psychokinesis just nodded in shock, unable to speak at all. As psychokinesis, they clearly knew how difficult it was to multitask for psychokinesis. Using telekinesis to control the flying knife and carry out precise attacks, this itself required a lot of effort to practice. Not to mention that while attacking with the flying knife, they also had to divide their attention to defend. Now the mysterious strong man not only used the flying knife to condense the giant python to devour those zombies. At the same time, he could also control the flying knife to form a defensive barrier to defend. This ability was something that they did not even dare to think about. If every psychokinesis could multitask like the mysterious strong man, then wouldn't psychokinesis have no weakness? Of course, this would never be possible for them. Soon, Mo Shi's flying knife python had completely devoured the surrounding zombies. The nearby zombies were killed by the flying knife barrier after thousands of them were killed. They began to feel fear and wanted to turn around and run away. But under the double attack of the flying knife barrier and the flying knife python, they could only die. At the same time, the evolution points in Mo Shi's mind increased sharply. Chapter 57. At this time, the 3,000 mutated zombies and 300 strong mutated zombies had all been cleared by Mo Shi. Mo Shi's mind was already filled with notifications of his evolution points increasing. Killed a level 3 mutated zombie, evolution points plus 300, killed a level 2 strong mutated zombie, evolution points plus 2,000, killed a level 3 strong mutated beast, evolution points plus 3,000. In the end, after killing all the zombies, his evolution points had increased by 2 million. His total evolution points had reached 97 million. Close to 9 million. Mo Shi could not help but look forward to it. He did not know what new functions he would get after the system upgrade this time. He also did not know what rewards he would get. At the same time, at the top of a building in the distance, the zombie with claw marks finally had some changes in its gaze. This human was stronger than it had imagined. In all honesty, with his strength as a level 8 mutant zombie, it was not impossible to kill so many mutant zombies and mutant zombies. However, it would not be as easy as this human. This human's telekinesis was really strong to a terrifying degree. The mutated owl at the side saw the leader's gaze flicker. It hissed, "Leader, if you don't personally act, I'm afraid you won't be able to kill this human." The zombie leader roared, "When watching a circus, you must watch it all." The mutated owl wanted to say something, but it suddenly heard the mountain pass in the distance. An earth-shattering hiss was heard. Hiss, "Ao." When this earth-shattering hiss came out, the snow that was fluttering down seemed to have stopped for a moment. The mutated owl was slightly stunned, but it immediately understood. So the leader still had a card. At this time, in the Central Park. When everyone heard this cry, each and every one of them was horrified and shocked. This hiss was actually able to make everyone feel as if their hearts were trembling along with it. It could be seen that the strength of the creature that could make this hiss was not something they could imagine. At this time, after Mo Shi had killed those zombies, he knew that there were still more than 2,000 mutated zombies and 200 strong mutated zombies within a kilometer of him. However, he did not immediately chase after these zombies. This was because his blood-red demonic eyes had already seen the corpse aura at the mountain pass. At this time, he heard this hiss. His heart slightly trembled. It seemed that it was something extraordinary. However, he did not panic at all. With his current speed, he would not be able to defeat that creature. However, escaping was not a problem. He wanted to lose before he thought about winning. This was Mo Shi's usual style of doing things. Before doing anything, he had to think of a way out. At this moment, through the heavy snow in the sky, he could vaguely see a blood-red python slithering along the highway. At a glance, this giant python was actually over 100 meters long. On the giant python's head, which was as huge as a house, there were dozens of huge barbs that were more than 2 meters long. Every barb was like a javelin. On both sides of the giant python's neck, there were cobra-like folds of flesh. At this moment, the folds of flesh had already opened up like two huge fans. It looked extremely aggressive. It crawled across the river. The thick layer of ice on the surface of the river instantly cracked. It crawled over the ruined building. The dilapidated building collapsed. It crawled across the abandoned parking lot. In the parking lot, the cars creaked and turned into sheets of metal. It climbed to a distance of 1 kilometer from Central Park. Everyone finally got a clear view of its entire body. It was 100 meters long, and its diameter was more than 3 meters. Each of the blood-red scales was about half a meter in diameter. When this 100-meter-long python crawled across the city, the already dilapidated buildings were directly turned into ruins. This 100-meter-long python did not pay attention to those humans at this moment. In its opinion, humans were just mere reptiles. Its pair of blood-red eyes stared straight at the flying knife python that was more than 20 meters long. Its eyes were filled with anger. As an overlord among the giant pythons, it would not allow another giant python to show off in front of it. Even if this was only a giant python condensed from flying knives. Hiss, the folds of flesh on its neck expanded a little more. At the top of the folds of flesh, more than 20 spikes even appeared. This made it look even more ferocious. This roar was a declaration of its sovereignty. It was a strong mutated beast that had reached level 8. Since its mutation, it had never encountered a snake that was stronger than it. Any snake had to submit in front of it. Despite that, not only did the flying knife python not submit, but it also roared at the flying knife python. Instead, it also raised its head. Folds of flesh also appeared on its neck. The inner folds opened and kept trembling. In its mouth, there was a hissing sound of metal rubbing against each other. This was the sound of the hundreds of flying knives in the flying knife python's mouth that Immortal controlled, constantly rubbing against each other. The 100-meter-long python was instantly furious. A small 20-meter-long snake dared to show its power in front of it. In the next moment, the 100-meter-long python's upper body stood up more than 20 meters high. It was actually much higher than the 6-story building next to it. Then, its tail propped up, and its body suddenly catapulted out. It opened its huge mouth and pounced on the flying knife python. In front of the 100-meter-long python, the 20-meter-long flying knife python was like a lonely boat in a storm, too weak to withstand the wind. However, in the next moment, the flying knife python suddenly opened its mouth. A large amount of dark green liquid suddenly sprayed out of its mouth. It sprayed out more than 50 meters. It was sprayed on the neck of the 100-meter-long python. Chi chi chi, as soon as the liquid came into contact with the scales of the 100-meter-long python, there was a sound like water being poured on fire. The scales of the 100-meter-long python were instantly corroded into a large hole. The 100-meter-long python immediately fell to the ground. It smashed down several giant trees with a diameter of half a meter next to it. It seemed to have been electrocuted, twisting its body in pain. It kept roaring like a pig being slaughtered. Ow hiss, ow hiss, a hole was quickly corroded into its body under its scales. The flesh and bones in the hole turned into blood water, bubbling with blood. Black smoke rose from its body. In just half a minute, the 100-meter-long python was broken into 2 parts. And the corrosive strong acid still had no intention of stopping. It continued to corrode the 2 parts of the python. Until it was completely corroded. Only a large pile of blood-red mucus was left on the ground. And this mucus was still bubbling, corroding the hay and the ground below. When all the rescuers saw this scene, their mouths were half open and their eyes were wide open. This 100-meter-long python was probably a level 8 mutated beast. In front of this 100-meter-long python, they were basically ants. But now, this 100-meter-long python was killed in an instant. And the one who killed it in an instant was a 20-meter-long flying knife python. The most unbelievable thing was that the flying knife python could spit out corrosive liquid. After all, it was condensed from flying daggers. It was not a living thing at all. How could it spit out liquid? Even if they scratched their heads, they could not figure it out. Chapter 58. A 20-meter-long steel python condensed from flying daggers killed the 100-meter-long python in an instant. No one had expected this. But what they couldn't figure out was how a steel python could spit out something from its mouth. They didn't know that this was Mo Shi's intention. After Mo Shi's telekinesis reached level 8, he could control the release of acid from the bloodthirsty corpse-slaying flying dagger at will. The steel python had swallowed more than 3,000 zombies without wasting a single drop of blood. Just think about it, how much acid would be converted into? When the 100-meter giant python attacked, Mo Shi used his telekinesis to force the acid out. From the perspective of others, it looked like the steel python had spat out acid. In the distance, at the top of the building, the mutant owl saw this scene and its eyes narrowed. Its hoarse voice trembled a little as it said, "That's right. Leader, you have to do it yourself. This human is too strong." As soon as it finished speaking, the leader leaped. It fell from a building that was dozens of meters high to the ground. Boom, it was the same as Mo Shi's previous jump from a tall building. The ground cracked inch by inch. The shock wave sent the falling snowflakes flying in all directions. Then, the leader took a step. One step was more than 180 meters. Thump, 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 its feet tapped continuously and it quickly jumped forward. Seeing this, the mutant owl secretly praised in its heart. After the leader was promoted to level 8, it was indeed much stronger. However, the next moment, the mutant owl was stunned. The direction the leader jumped in wasn't the human at all. Instead, it jumped into the distance. Wait, the leader actually ran away? The mutant owl couldn't figure it out. It immediately spread its wings and flew in the direction the leader ran. Flying above the leader's head, it asked in a hoarse voice, "Leader, why didn't you kill this human?" The zombie with 3 claw marks let out a zombie growl and said, "After a while, I will be promoted to level 9 strong mutant zombie. At that time, I will kill their base and kill this human." The mutant owl was speechless. These words sounded familiar. A few months ago, when the leader was still a level 7 mutant zombie, he had said the same thing. But then again, this human was clearly much stronger than before. If that was the case, when the leader became a level 9 variant zombie, how strong would this human be? Thinking of this, the mutated owl turned its head and looked at Mo Shi through the wind and snow from afar. Then, it flapped its wings and quickly followed its leader. At the same time, Mo Shi killed the 100-meter-long python. He looked around with his blood demon eyes. There wasn't too much corpse energy in the vicinity. On the other hand, there was still corpse chi gathering somewhere after they crossed the mountain. With a thought, thousands of flying daggers began to clean up the remaining mutated zombies and strong mutated zombies. Any zombie would be easily minced into meat paste under his flying knife. When the rescue team saw how powerful the mysterious expert was, they were shocked. They all had the urge to worship him. Just how strong was the mysterious expert? It seemed that until today, he had never seen an opponent who could withstand a single blow from the mysterious expert. He was so strong that he didn't seem human. Thousands of flying daggers, wherever they passed, not even a blade of grass was left. Even the remains of the buildings. After the flying daggers flew past, they all collapsed. It took half an hour to clean up the zombies in the entire city. Mo Shi's evolution points had reached 9.57 million points. He only needed the last 400,000 points. He couldn't help but shake his head slightly. Then the blood demon eyes crossed the mountain in front of him and looked at the corpse chi there. It seemed that he had to go there again. Thinking of this, he tapped his feet lightly and quickly left along the snow-covered road. Behind him, the rescue team members were all stunned. Where is the mysterious expert going? Do you want to go and see? Better not. With the mysterious expert's performance these years, he doesn't seem to like being disturbed. Everyone looked at each other and couldn't make up their minds. In the end, everyone's eyes fell on Guojutao. He was the strongest person here and also the vice leader of the hunting group. At this time, he naturally had to make the decision. Guojutao thought for a moment and said, "I know everyone wants to go and see. I want to too. Then, let's go and see. But if we annoy the mysterious expert, everyone will say that they are worried about him and followed to see." Everyone nodded when they heard this. Then they followed Mo Shi's back and walked in the direction of the mountain. However, Mo Shi's speed was very fast, 150 meters per second. And in order to take care of the two psychokinesis, they could only go 5 or 6 meters per second at most. At this time, the weakness of psychokinesis's body was exposed. These two psychokinesis were also very helpless. There was no other way. Psychokinesis's fighting strength was strong, but their bodies were so weak. The heavens are fair. You can't have both sides, right? But soon they all thought, there really was someone who occupied both sides. It was really enviable. While Mo Shi was running in the direction of the mountain pass in front of him, he saw a string of footprints on the snow in front of him, extending into the distance alone in the snow. He wasn't surprised. When he was fighting in Central Park just now, his blood demon eyes saw a corpse aura on the roof of a building in the distance. Although it was only the corpse aura emitted by one zombie, it was stronger than the corpse aura of the 300-strong mutated zombies added together. So at that time in the park, he waited for this corpse aura to come. But what he didn't expect was that not only did the corpse aura not come, but it also escaped at an extremely fast speed. The footprints now should be left by the owner of the corpse aura. Looking at the direction of the footprints, it should be on the other side of the mountain, where the corpse aura was pervading. Soon, he went over the mountain in front of him. Mo Shi saw a mountain about a few hundred meters high in front of him through the heavy snow. At the foot of the mountain, about 5 kilometers away from him, there was a village. Above the village, the corpse aura was pervasive. The blood-red corpse aura was so dense that it seemed to be solidifying. And the place where the footprints pointed was obviously that village. Mo Shi paused his footsteps. He took out a bottle of brain cell recovery medicine and drank it. Although in the battle in Central Park, he didn't even sweat. He consumed some of his mental power, but only 20%. But in this village, the corpse aura was too dense. So it was better to be careful. It was always right to restore his mental power to its peak state first. At the same time, Mo Shi was also thinking of his own escape route. If there was a powerful existence in the village, how could he escape? Thinking of defeat before thinking of victory. This was Mo Shi's consistent style of doing things. After all, this was the apocalypse. Only survival was the way to go. Chapter 59. Before Mo Shi did anything, he didn't want to win, he wanted to lose first. It was the same at this moment. Especially when he saw the speed of the strong corpse energy leaving just now, it was probably about 180 meters per second. Obviously, this was a level 8 strong mutated zombie. Although Mo Shi believed that with his current strength, crushing a level 8 strong mutated zombie wouldn't be a problem. But there was always a chance. What if something unexpected happened? At that time, even if he wanted to escape, his speed would be far inferior to that level 8 strong mutated zombie. Therefore, before going to that village, he had to think of a way to escape. After thinking about it, Mo Shi couldn't think of any way. He couldn't rely on those rescue teams. They wouldn't be enough to fill the gaps between the strong mutated zombies' teeth. He shook his head. Mo Shi sighed helplessly, "Forget it, I'll sign in first and see if I can get anything good." He originally planned to stay in the ruins of the C9 base for today's sign-in opportunity. But his attention was only on that strong mutated zombie just now, and he didn't have time to sign in. Now that he urgently needed a way out, he could only try signing in here. But he didn't have much hope. It would be strange if he could sign something good in this desolate mountain range. System, sign in. Soon, the system responded, frowny face, sign in successful. Sign in event, tracking a level 8 strong mutated zombie. Sign in reward, dragon shadow step. Huh. Mo Sure was slightly stunned. There was indeed something wrong. The event sign-in mechanism finally came in handy. The event sign-in mechanism, immediately signing in after doing something special, would give a special reward. He hadn't used it much before. He didn't expect that this time, following the footprints of the level 8 mutated zombie, it would be activated. He focused and looked at the skill description. Dragon Shadow Step, the footwork left behind by the Wind Dragon Emperor when he walked in the human world and transformed into his human form. As fast as lightning. Using this footwork will leave an afterimage in the shape of a giant dragon, hence the name. When Mo Sure saw this, he was delighted. What he lacked really came. He was worried that his speed wouldn't be as fast as that level 8 strong mutated zombie, so he signed in the Dragon Shadow Step. At this moment, he only felt a wave of information in his mind. How to use the Dragon Shadow Step, all the techniques were poured into his brain. And in that instant, he learned the Dragon Shadow Step. In the next moment, his figure moved slightly. He instantly disappeared from where he stood. When he reappeared, he was already 1,000 meters away. 1 second, 1,000 meters. Looking back, he didn't even leave any footprints in the snow behind him. Dragon Shadow Step was not teleportation. However, his running speed was so fast that it looked like teleportation. When he used Dragon Shadow Steps to rush over, he was clearly stepping on the snow. But now, there were no footprints. Traceless snow steps. Mo Sure couldn't help but think to himself, this Dragon Emperor is really strong. He looked at the place where he was standing before. A gigantic dragon-shaped phantom was left behind. Although the shadow was blurry, one could still make out its rough outline. This gigantic dragon-shaped phantom was 10 meters tall. From beginning to end, it was more than 20 meters long. When he spread his wings, they were actually more than 20 meters wide. Even though it was just an illusion, it seemed to be filled with a powerful pressure. Sure enough, anything that was related to the word dragon was basically related to awesome. Moreover, this Dragon Shadow Step consumed very little physical strength. It could be used for a long time. Mo Sure couldn't help but admire the Wind Dragon Emperor who created the Dragon Shadow Step. At this moment, after using Dragon Shadow Step to cross 3,000 meters, he had a better understanding of the Dragon Shadow Step in his mind. He understood that the Dragon Shadow Step he was using now was only at the entry level. There were still 3 levels after that: small success, large success, and great perfection. This made Mo Sure look forward to it. The entry level was already 1,000 meters in one step. How strong would the great perfection be? Then, he slowed down and walked slowly towards the village filled with corpse aura. After all, this was a place where corpse aura gathered. Naturally, he had to be careful. At the same time, in the center of the village, in the farmyard, the zombie with 3 claw marks had just returned. The mutated owl was also on a fence post in the yard and had just landed. At this moment, a zombie outside the door growled and said, "Leader, a human is coming towards the village." When the mutated owl heard this, its wings couldn't help but flap twice. It made a hoarse sound. The leader's heart also trembled slightly. That human was actually chasing after them like a ghost. As the leader of these zombies, he used to be the one who hunted those humans. When had he ever been chased by a human? It was simply a great humiliation. Thinking of this, he suddenly turned his head. The 3 claw marks on his face seemed to have blood oozing out. In his grayish-white eyes, anger burst out, and he roared, "This human is too much. Send out all the strong mutated zombies." The zombie outside the door quickly lowered its head and roared, "Yes." The next moment, accompanied by the roar of the zombie outside the door, the originally quiet mountain village was suddenly filled with roars. More than 500 mutated zombies let out earth-shattering roars and rushed out of those houses. They ran straight towards Mo at the entrance of the village. At the same time, the zombie with 3 claw marks turned around and headed towards the backyard. Outside the backyard, there was originally a field. Before the outbreak of the zombie virus, the wheat, corn, soybeans, and other crops that the villagers collected were all peeled, dried, and bagged on this field. But now, on this field, there was a huge blood pool with a diameter of 50 meters. Above the blood pool, there seemed to be a thick layer of blood mist. A thick smell of blood spread out in all directions. The zombie with 3 claw marks, with a plop, jumped into the blood pool. In the blood pool, the blood water began to bubble. Gradually, like boiling water, waves of blood began to surge. In the blood pool, dozens of finger-thick arms stretched out and climbed up the body of the zombie with 3 claw marks. Finally, the zombie with 3 claw marks was completely wrapped up. Like a blood dumpling. The zombie with 3 claw marks secretly roared in his heart, "Mere humans, a group of reptiles. With the support of the blood pool, you are just ants in front of me." At the same time, Mo had already arrived outside the village. 500 strong mutated zombies, with earth-shattering roars, rushed out of the village. Mo, however, had a smile on his face. If it was other people, facing so many strong mutated zombies, they could only see death and despair. But what Mo saw was evolution points. So many strong mutated zombies. It was enough to let his evolution points reach 10 million. Thinking of this, he moved his telekinesis slightly. 900 throwing knives instantly appeared in front of him. In the next moment, it turned into a black python more than 20 meters long. It flew towards these strong mutated zombies. In front of these strong mutated zombies, its head instantly expanded more than 10 times. The huge mouth also expanded more than 10 times. The huge mouth suddenly opened and swallowed more than 10 strong mutated zombies. Chapter 60. With Mo's current strength, even level 8 strong mutated zombies would flee upon seeing him. Not to mention these strong mutated zombies that were only level 1 to 5. The flying knife giant python continued to devour these strong mutated zombies. These strong mutated zombies were also considered smart. They deliberately avoided the flying knife giant python's head. However, they seemed to have forgotten that this was a giant python formed by Mo's flying knives. Not only could it devour its head, its back, abdomen, tail, anywhere. It could open a huge mouth at any time and devour the zombies. Although these 500 strong mutated zombies also had a speed of more than 100 meters per second. But compared to the flying knife giant python controlled by Mo's telekinesis, it was much worse. In a short 5 minutes, these 500 strong mutated zombies were completely devoured by the flying knife giant python. At the same time, in Mo's mind, the evolution points had already reached more than 10 million. The system's voice sounded frowny face. Evolution points have reached 10 million, the system can be upgraded. Do you want to upgrade immediately? Mo was happy and said, upgrade. The system replied instantly. Frowny face, this upgrade requires 12 hours. Unable to sign in during the upgrade. Mo was already familiar with these things, so he didn't pay attention to them. A trace of expectation rose in his heart. After the system upgrade, what kind of reward would he get? His gaze swept across the mountain village in the snow. The blood demon pupil appeared. The air above the mountain village was still shrouded in corpse aura. Obviously, there was still something strange in the village. At this moment, the ground suddenly shook. In the next moment, an earth-shattering roar suddenly burst forth. Roar, the snowflakes above the entire village were swept away by this roar. The poplar, apricot, and walnut trees in the village, the snow on top of them were slowly shaken off by this sound. In the center of the village, there was an ancient scholar tree. The branches of the ancient scholar tree were covered with snow. At this moment, under this sound, the ancient scholar tree seemed to be unable to bear the burden. Kacha 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 sounds continued to sound. The withered tree branches were all broken. The adobe house at the back of the village that had not been lived in for decades shook twice under this sound. It collapsed with a bang, smoke and dust flew, scattering the flying snow. In the next moment, beside the ancient scholar tree, a huge figure appeared. This gigantic figure was completely blood-red. He was more than 50 meters tall. The muscles on his body bulged like a mountain. The most terrifying thing about it was that it had 3 ferocious heads with exposed fangs. On its body, there were 6 thick arms. 3 heads and 6 arms. Upon closer inspection, one could see that the extra 2 heads and 4 arms were all formed by blood-red arms. Not only that. Its gigantic body was actually formed from blood-red arms. In other words, this was a giant formed from blood-red arms. Ordinary people would be scared to death with just one look, or at least wet their pants. Even Immortal furrowed his brows. There were more and more demons and monsters in the wilderness. Moreover, he could clearly feel that the giant formed by the arm was emitting a terrifying pressure like a mountain. This was a natural pressure formed by the strong against the weak. When other zombies faced Immortal, they could also feel this natural pressure. Immortal thought to himself. In terms of level, this big guy's level had probably reached level 10 strong mutated zombie. With his current strength, he had no chance of winning in front of a level 10 strong mutated zombie. That natural pressure actually caused him to have an impulse to submit to it. Obviously, this guy was far from what he could compete with. It seemed that he had to use his trump card. If that move didn't work, he would immediately use Dragon Shadow Steps to escape. At the same time, on the mountain in the distance, the 49 members of the rescue team had also appeared. When they heard the earth-shattering roar and looked towards the mountain village, each and every one of them was filled with shock. What did they see? A giant creature with 3 heads and 6 arms more than 50 meters tall. Even when they saw the 100-meter giant python before, they were not so shocked. After all, a 100-meter giant python was still within their scope of understanding. But what kind of monster was this thing with 3 heads and 6 arms? Moreover, even if they were 5 kilometers away, they could still feel a natural pressure. That terrifying pressure wasn't physical. It was a psychological deterrent. That strong pressure made them not dare to look directly at the monster. It even made them have an impulse to kneel down and surrender. Everyone's hearts were filled with terror. How powerful was this creature to make them have such an impulse to surrender? Facing such a powerful creature, could the mysterious strong man handle it? They had been very confident in the mysterious strong man before. But this time, they were a little less confident. After all, even the mysterious strong man had never made them have the impulse to kneel down and surrender. Deputy Commander Gua, what should we do? Several hunters asked one after another. Gua Jutao's eyes were full of shock. After a while, he turned his head back. He looked at Immortal who was at the entrance of the village. At this time, Immortal was facing the terrifying creature with 3 heads and 6 arms. He was like a lonely and helpless child. Gua Jutao wanted to help Immortal, but after thinking about it for a while, he realized that if they got close to the village, Immortal would definitely die. Not to mention other things, Just the psychological pressure that was as heavy as Mount Tai could make all of them collapse. Only someone as powerful as the mysterious expert could stand so close to the monster without collapsing. Thinking of this, he said to everyone in a feminine voice. A battle of this level is not something we can participate in. Just stay here and watch. Everyone was silent when they heard this. The appearance of the mysterious strong man made them feel very useless. Now, when the mysterious strong man was fighting, they could only watch from afar. Even watching from 5 kilometers away, he had to bear a great deal of psychological pressure. It could be imagined that they were thousands of miles away from the mysterious strong man. At this time, in the mountain village, beside the huge ancient scholar tree with a diameter of more than 5 meters, the huge 3-headed 6-armed monster seemed to think that the ancient scholar tree was in the way. It waved one hand gently. Crack! The ancient scholar tree with a diameter of more than 5 meters was broken into several pieces like paper. The dead branches scattered in all directions. A few houses nearby were smashed and collapsed. The huge 3-headed 6-armed monster looked at the tiny human at the entrance of the village. It roared in its throat, "Lowly human, pitiful reptile, die." In the next moment, its 6 thick arms formed by tens of thousands of arms suddenly extended. In an instant, they stretched out hundreds of meters and grabbed at Immortal. Dozens of tentacles stretched out from the tip of each of its arms, making threatening gestures as they pounced on Immortal. Chapter 61. The 50-meter-tall monster with 3 heads and 6 arms did not move towards Immortal. Instead, it stretched out 6 arms that looked like giant rafters. Those arms instantly extended hundreds of meters and attacked Immortal. On each arm, there were more than 10 tentacles. Hundreds of tentacles pounced towards Immortal with bared fangs and brandished claws. Immortal could feel that the tentacles contained a mysterious and powerful power. With his current strength, he could not withstand it at all. There was no time to think. His entire body was instantly covered by the mutated giant crocodile scales. At the same time, the blood on his right arm squirmed rapidly. His entire right arm turned into a pitch-black axe blade. The axe blade was more than 3 meters wide and looked extremely sharp. In the next moment, Immortal leaped lightly with the dragon's shadow step. He instantly moved 1,000 meters to the left. He avoided those tentacles. In the air, the axe blade in his hand chopped down at the tentacles that were pouncing towards him. When he chopped down, all the strength in his body was condensed on the axe blade. The axe blade instantly lengthened and widened. It became incomparably huge. It was like a huge black wall that was hanging down from the sky. It chopped down with a loud bang. Immortal did not stop as he chopped down with the axe. The tip of his foot tapped lightly again. The dragon's shadow step was used. His figure instantly retreated 1,000 meters. A 20-meter-tall, 30-meter-wide dragon-shaped afterimage was left in place. A moment later, this afterimage slowly disappeared. At the same time, he looked up again. He saw that the entire mountain village had long been divided into 2 by a 5-meter-wide, unfathomably deep ravine. And that huge monster with 3 heads and 6 arms had already been divided into 2 halves. It slowly fell to both sides. It did not even have time to scream. Behind it, the mountain that was hundreds of meters tall also had a huge crack that was 5 meters wide. From this side of the mountain, one could directly see the other side of the mountain. The break of the mountain was as smooth as a mirror. On the distant mountain. When the 49 people saw this scene, they were all tongue-tied. For a long time, they could not say a word. The wind had stopped. Heavy snow rustled down. The sound of it falling to the ground could be heard clearly. After a full 2 minutes, someone finally broke the silence. Too strong. This exclamation pulled everyone back from their shock. The mountain-splitting axe is so terrifying. It's funny that I was worried about the mysterious expert just now. Everyone felt the same way. They were indeed worried about the mysterious expert just now. After all, even though they were 5 kilometers away, they still had the urge to kneel down and submit. From their point of view, this was a monster that was even stronger than the mysterious expert. Even if the mysterious expert was undefeated, he might not be able to win. At most, it would be a draw with the monster. But he never expected that. Instant kill. It was still a one-hit kill. In front of the mysterious powerhouse, there seemed to be nothing that could not be killed in one move. He was unbelievably strong. Unimaginably strong. Thinking of the huge axe that almost filled the entire world, they could only look up. This was especially true for the hunters. They knew that the huge axe earlier was the genetic weapon of the mysterious expert. They were all hunters, and their genetic martial arts could extend over 100 meters. It swept through the zombies and mutant beasts within 100 meters. They already felt that they were strong enough. But now, compared to the mysterious expert's genetic martial art that could extend for several kilometers and split a mountain with a single chop, it was trash. Not only one person, but all the hunters' genetic martial arts were trash. Xiao Dou looked at the mountain that was split open and the 5-meter-wide crack. After a while, she remembered a poem that she learned in elementary school. The gate of heaven is broken and the river opens, in front of the small mountain village that was split in half. Mo Shi was also shocked. He did not even pay attention to the system notification in his mind that he had received 10,000 evolution points. Originally, after he used his genetic martial art, he immediately used Dragon Shadow Step to retreat. He was worried that he would not be able to kill the monster with one chop. He did not expect that the genetic martial art would be so strong after using all his strength. That monster's strength had probably reached level 10, a strong mutant zombie. Although its aura was not stable, it seemed to have just entered level 10. But it was still not something he could deal with. In the end, the genetic martial art was so domineering after using all his strength. The axe split the monster in half, and even the mountain behind it was split in half. But after thinking about it, he understood. Right now, he possessed the Titan Dragon gene. His genetic martial art was naturally much stronger than a normal hunter's. Normal hunters could only grow bone spikes on their arms and use them as hidden weapons to attack the enemy when they least expected it. But Mo Shi's arm could directly condense the Sky Splitter Dragon Spear. It could be seen how perverse the Titan Dragon gene was. It was so perverse that it could support him to kill a strong enemy that was level 5. However, although this genetic martial art was perverse, every time he used it at full strength, he would use up more than half of his stamina. Now, he felt that his legs were weak. He quickly retracted his genetic martial art. Then, he used his telekinesis to investigate a radius of 1,400 meters to prevent other strong mutant zombies from sneak attacking. At the same time, he was prepared to use Dragon Shadow Step to escape. Under his telekinesis investigation, he discovered that another zombie had crawled out from the monster's body that was split in half. There were 3 claw marks on the zombie's face. The skin on its mouth was torn off by the claw marks. It looked extremely ferocious. But at this moment, the claw mark zombie had no strength left. Mo Shi guessed that it must have used some method to forcefully increase its strength, causing its body to be greatly exhausted. At this moment, the claw mark zombie's legs had disappeared. Only 2 short blood stakes were left. It supported itself on the ground with both hands and crawled towards the ancient scholar tree with difficulty. It roared in a low voice, "Blood pool, blood pool." The blood pool was the foundation of mutant zombies and could allow them to quickly recover their strength. As long as it crawled to the blood pool, its body would be able to recover again. Then, it would escape from this place and seek revenge on this human after becoming stronger. However, when it crawled to the side of the ancient scholar tree that had already been broken, a feeling of despair that covered the heavens and the earth instantly assaulted its heart. It saw that the blood pool had been split in half from the middle by the axe just now. The blood in the blood pool had long been drained dry. Those thin arms that were like blood vessels in the blood pool were also quickly retracting into the ground. The claw-mark zombie's eyes were filled with despair. No, no, Immortal saw this scene and lightly tapped his feet. He left behind a giant dragon's afterimage. His figure instantly appeared in front of the claw-mark zombie. The claw-mark zombie slowly turned around in despair. It lay on the ground on its back. Its grayish-white eyes turned and looked at Immortal with difficulty. In its desperate eyes, there was also disbelief. He really couldn't believe that this human could be so strong. Now that he thought about it, he thought that after advancing to a level 8 strong mutant zombie, he could crush this human. How ridiculous this idea was. But after a moment, he calmed down. The despair in his grayish-white eyes had disappeared. He looked at Immortal and slowly shook his head. In his throat, he began to laugh like a broken gong. King will not let you go, Chi, before his voice died away. A bloodthirsty corpse-chopping knife had already pierced through his forehead. Buzz buzz, the bloody hole in his forehead quickly melted and became bigger and bigger. Chapter 62. Immortal killed the claw-mark variant zombie. In his mind, a notification sounded. Frowny face killed level 8 strong variant zombie, evolution points plus 8,000, however, there was not the slightest ripple in his heart. His gaze fell on the blood pool that had been split into 2 halves. Blood pool again. Before this zombie died, it mentioned the king again. It seemed that it must be a very strong existence. Facing this zombie, he would need to use all of his strength to kill it in one hit. If he encountered that king, he was afraid that he would not have the slightest ability to fight back. Thinking of this, Immortal suddenly felt a sense of urgency in his heart. After returning to the base this time, he must work hard to sign in. Immortal directly took out 10 bottles of recovery medicine from the system space. Gulp, 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 gulp. With his current physical strength, under such a large consumption, a bottle of recovery medicine was not effective. After drinking 10 bottles at the same time, he felt that his physical strength was quickly recovering. Then, his footsteps were light. Every step was 1,000 meters. With every step, a black dragon's shadow would be left behind. In just 5 steps, he passed through 5,000 meters of snow. He came to the top of the mountain. At this time, his physical strength had been completely recovered. Those people, seeing the mysterious strong man step 1,000 meters, were all secretly shocked. At the same time, they looked at the dragon afterimage 1,000 meters away, and one by one, they exclaimed, "This is, dragon?" When they saw the dragon's shadow slowly disappear, their gazes all gathered on Immortal. With every step he took, he could summon the shadow of a giant dragon. They had never heard of it. Perhaps, such a phenomenon could only happen in those novels that boasted about the heavens and the earth. But now, this was reality. How could such a vision appear? This had long been far beyond their scope of understanding. However, facing the mysterious strong man, even if they had many doubts in their hearts, they did not dare to ask. Immortal glanced at everyone indifferently. He only said 3 words, "Let's go back." Then, he walked forward along the highway. This time, he did not use the dragon's shadow step. He only slowly moved forward at a speed of 50 meters per second. When the people behind saw this, their hearts trembled. They hurriedly followed. Not long after they left, behind the blood pool, on the ground that was split open, the corpse of a mutated owl was slowly recovering. After a while, the wounds on its body were completely healed. Then, with a push, he flew into the distance. Back on the highway, Immortal was still clearing the zombies with his throwing knives, just like when he came here. He was about 5 kilometers away from these people. When it was time to rest at night, he waited for everyone to catch up. When the crowd saw that the mysterious expert was waiting for them, they were all overjoyed. He hurriedly walked over. However, they knew that the mysterious expert liked peace and quiet. Therefore, they did not dare to get too close to Immortal. They maintained a distance of more than 50 meters. Guojutao ordered his men to find the most intact house in the nearby abandoned city. After cleaning the room twice, he said carefully, "That's right. Powerhouse. The room has been cleaned. Please rest there." Immortal did not hold back. He had already saved these people 4 or 5 times. Although each time, it was not specifically to save them, it was just a matter of convenience. But to these people, it was still a life-saving grace. Therefore, this special treatment was not excessive. When the crowd saw the mysterious expert enter the room to rest, they breathed a sigh of relief. The mysterious expert had saved them so many times, but he had never asked for anything from them. They had nothing to repay him with. This made them feel uneasy at all. Now that the mysterious expert could accept a little bit of their gratitude, it could be regarded as slightly alleviating their uneasiness. When Immortal was resting, he took out the virtual sentry tower. With the virtual sentry tower, it covered a range of 5 kilometers. He did not have to worry about monsters appearing near him and not being able to predict in advance. The others naturally did not know and still sent 10 people to keep watch at night. The rest of the people sat in an abandoned school auditorium. Listening to the sound of snowflakes falling outside, they did not feel sleepy at all. They had too many questions in their hearts and wanted to ask the mysterious expert for advice. But the mysterious expert did not seem to want to be disturbed. Naturally, they did not dare to ask. After a long time, the cross-eyed Xiaodou spoke first. "I didn't expect that the mysterious expert was my former colleague at the corpse farm." Since Xiaodou left the corpse farm, he had been very afraid of mentioning the corpse farm. He always thought that it was a disgrace that he could not erase. If someone knew that a dignified corpse hunter actually walked out of the corpse farm, how embarrassing would that be? But now, after saying those words, there was actually a trace of pride in his shame. Sure enough, when the others heard this, they were all surprised. Corpse farm? The mysterious expert has been hiding in the corpse farm? No wonder we couldn't find him. You mean you used to be colleagues with the mysterious expert? Xiaodou nodded and said, "Yes, when he first came to the corpse farm, I was the one who took him to familiarize himself with the environment and work." Speaking of this, Xiaodou felt even more proud. That was the mysterious expert. Even if he could be the mysterious expert's follower, it would be a supreme honor. Not to mention that he used to be his colleague. Xiaodou continued, "I still remember when he first came to the corpse farm and introduced himself." Hearing this, everyone listened attentively. They were very interested in anything related to the mysterious expert. Xiaodou continued, "At that time, he was wearing a white t-shirt and looked a little reserved. He said his name was..." "Xiaodou, shut up." A sharp shout suddenly interrupted Xiaodou. Everyone was startled. Xiaodou was also startled and looked at Guojutao. Guojutao said with a stern expression, "The mysterious expert has been hiding in the base for more than a decade and didn't reveal his identity. Obviously, he likes peace and doesn't want trouble. You revealed the information about the mysterious expert. Do you want everyone to disturb him after knowing that he is the mysterious expert?" Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Xiaodou's heart skipped a beat. He quickly said, "Deputy Commander Guo, that's not what I meant, I just..." Guojutao interrupted him once again. His gaze swept across everyone sternly as he coldly shouted, "Don't worry. If we go back and reveal the identity of the mysterious expert, there will be a lot of people coming to the corpse farm. There will definitely be a lot of people rushing into the corpse farm, and the mysterious expert will be annoyed to no end. Since he likes peace and quiet, then all of you will have to keep this a secret. Don't mention the identity of the mysterious expert to anyone. Otherwise, if you offend the mysterious expert, you will bear the consequences yourself. Hearing this, everyone's heart skipped a beat. If they really pissed off the mysterious expert, it wouldn't be enough even if they died 10,000 times. Especially Xiao Dou, whose heart was beating wildly. He almost said the name of the mysterious expert. He didn't dare to imagine what would happen if he really said it. At this time, someone asked if the base chief asks. Guo Jiutao said sternly, even if the base chief asks, you can't say anything. In the room far away, Mo Shi heard this and smiled faintly. This Guo Jiutao was quite sensible. Chapter 63. On the morning of the second day, Mo Shi and the others braved the wind and snow to continue their journey. Mo Shi continued to lead the way. At noon, the system's voice suddenly sounded in his mind, upgrade complete. A smile appeared on Mo Shi's face. The upgrade was finally completed. Reward: Enhanced Brain Cell Recovery Medicine Reward, Enhanced Brain Cell Enhancer Medicine Reward, Zombie Roar Technique Upgraded Reward, Zombie Summon. Mo Shi carefully looked at the rewards one by one. There was no need to talk about the Enhanced Brain Cell Recovery Medicine. After upgrading the Zombie Roar technique, one roar could kill all zombies below level 10 mutated zombies. Previously, it was able to repel 100,000 normal zombies. Now, it was able to kill 100,000 mutated zombies. This was very powerful. In the future, if he encountered any mutated zombies below level 10, he would only need to roar. As for the zombie summon, Mo Shi felt that it was a bit useless. He had not used the mutated beast summon that he obtained from the previous upgrade. With his strength, he could kill any zombies or mutant beasts in a second. Why would he summon them? Maybe he could use them in certain situations in the future. Then, the system's voice sounded again, upgrade details, 1. Double check-in reward mechanism. You can use evolution points to increase the check-in reward by 10 times. 2. Cumulative check-in reward mechanism. If you forget to check in, you can save it for the next time and check in at the same time. 3. Multiple check-in at special locations mechanism. In some special locations, you can check in twice or more in one day. Seeing this, Mo Shi smiled faintly. The system was becoming more and more humane. Having said that, this double check-in reward mechanism was very awesome. He said in his mind, System, double check-in reward. Specify the Enhanced Brain Cell Enhancer Medicine. The system replied, double check-in reward cost, 10,000 evolution points. Specify the reward, 1,000 evolution points. This check-in reward cost, 11,000 evolution points. Please confirm if you want to check in. Mo Shi was secretly speechless. But that was it. Right now, he had plenty of evolution points. He replied in his mind, confirm check-in. The system immediately replied, check-in successful. Sign-in reward, Enhanced Brain Cell Enhancer X10. Mo Shi looked into his mind. Sure enough, in one of the grids, there were already 10 brain cell enhancers. Including the one he received as a reward for leveling up, he now had a total of 11. He took out a syringe, rolled up his sleeves in the wind and snow, and injected it. In the next moment, he felt a surge of heat gushing into his head. His thoughts seemed to have become much clearer. It was obvious that his telekinesis had increased a lot. Sure enough, the enhanced version of the brain cell enhancer was at least 10 times more effective than before. Mo Shi licked his lips and took out the second enhanced brain cell enhancer. 5 minutes later, all 11 vials of the enhanced brain cell enhancer were injected. At this moment, he felt that his telekinesis had increased tremendously. He could clearly feel that his head was heating up. His thoughts were extremely clear. 5 minutes later, he released his telekinesis. Everything within a radius of 800 meters and a diameter of 1,600 meters could be seen clearly. He could detect every snowflake falling within an 800-meter radius. He could also detect the flow of every drop of blood in his body. Immortal exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. His eyes were shining. Finally, his telekinesis had increased again. Level 8 psychokinesis. However, Immortal was not satisfied with this. The enhanced version of the brain cell enhancer was much more effective than the previous one. Now, he could double the number of check-ins. In other words, he could sign in 10 enhanced brain cell enhancers every day. In this way, it would not be long before his telekinesis would increase again. The next day, Immortal spent another 11,000 evolution points to designate the brain cell enhancer and doubled it. On the third day, they passed by Jianghu city. Immortal originally wanted to designate a reward to sign in. However, when he saw the big wild goose tower in Jianghu city that only had 6 floors left, a thought suddenly flashed through his mind. In the next moment, he tapped his feet lightly. In an instant, he traveled 1,000 meters. Only the afterimage of a giant dragon was left behind. In just 5 seconds, he had already crossed 5 kilometers. He arrived at the bottom of the big wild goose tower. As it had just been cleaned up a few days ago, there were no zombies nearby for the time being. There was no wind. Heavy snow fluttered down. Although the big wild goose tower was full of vicissitudes, it was still a pillar in the heavy snow. At this time, the blood pool under the big wild goose tower that was destroyed by Immortal's Titan dragon claw had long been covered by snow. One could no longer see the bloody and terrifying scene at that time. He came to the side of the blood pool and said in his mind, "System, sign in." The system's voice sounded frowny face sign in successful. Sign in location, destroyed blood pool, sign in reward, demon devouring dragon spear, demon devouring dragon spear? A weapon? Immortal whispered and checked the system backpack. However, nothing new appeared in the system backpack. Could it be a skill? Immortal checked his skills again. Demon devouring dragon spear, condense a dragon spear from the flesh and blood of virus-infected bodies. The more virus-infected bodies, the more powerful the spear. Note, using the demon-devouring dragon spear will not consume your physical strength. The power of the demon-devouring dragon spear depends on the number of virus-infected bodies condensed into the dragon spear. Immortal heard this and nodded again. The sign-in reward this time was very good. It would not consume his physical strength. In other words, if he encountered a powerful enemy in the future, even if he used his genetic martial arts and used up all his physical strength, he would still have one more chance to use the demon-devouring dragon spear. That afternoon, Immortal and the others passed by a village. From afar, he saw a corpse aura permeating the air above the village. His heart skipped a beat. Would there be another blood pool there? Although he had used up his sign-in opportunity today, generally speaking, there would be a large number of mutated zombies and strong mutated zombies next to the blood pool. This was a large number of evolution points. Thinking of this, he immediately used Dragon Shadow Steps and rushed towards the village. Behind him, the rescue team couldn't see the corpse aura there. However, they heard the roars of zombies coming from there. Originally, they wanted to avoid as many zombies as possible while they were on the road. However, when they saw that Immortal had already arrived at the entrance of the village, they immediately rushed to the village. At the same time, in the village, there were more than 20 strong mutated zombies. Leading hundreds of mutated zombies, they were besieging 3 humans. Of these 3 humans, one was Lu Wang. The other 2 were naturally his parents. After he completed the transaction with the zombies, he took his parents and rushed to the C1 base. He didn't think that the others were still alive. He knew how strong the zombies at the C9 base were. Even the mysterious strong man couldn't escape. Everyone in the rescue team and the mysterious strong man would be wiped out there. At that time, he would take his parents back to the C1 base, and his parents would be safe. Everything seemed to be going according to his plan. However, when he passed by this place this morning, a group of mutated ants suddenly passed by nearby. He could only take his parents and quietly come to the village to hide. Unexpectedly, there were a large number of zombies in the village. There were more than 20 strong mutated zombies. If it were ordinary strong mutated zombies, he could still deal with them. However, these strong mutated zombies were around level 5. He couldn't deal with them alone. The current situation was already very critical. When Mo sure saw the situation here, there wasn't the slightest fluctuation in his cold eyes. Chapter 64. Mo sure found out what was happening in the village, but he didn't do anything. For the sake of his parents, Lu Wang traversed 500 kilometers of wilderness and brought people back to rescue them. His filial piety was commendable. But for his parents, he had betrayed his brother, who had gone through life and death with him. This made Mo sure feel disgusted. It was already good enough that Mo sure didn't help those zombies. How could he expect to save them? After looking from afar for a while, Mo sure stopped paying attention to them. Instead, he turned his gaze to the west side of the village. His pupils turned blood red. The zombie aura at the west side of the village was 100 times stronger than the zombie aura. Mo sure's telekinesis couldn't reach that far. But he guessed that there should be a blood pool there. But he didn't act immediately. Let's see if there was a stronger existence here. At this time, in the center of the village, Lu Wang saw that the strong mutated zombies had already surrounded them. He called out to his parents behind him. Go into the house at the back. His parents hurriedly hid in the house at the back. Lu Wang's eyes were red, and the genetic weapon in his hand was already condensed. The 100-meter-long whip had a sharp blade that shone with cold light. Every time the long whip was swung, hundreds of zombies would be cut in half. But the zombies he killed were only mutated zombies. As for the stronger mutated zombies, they all jumped and dodged his long whip. Lu Wang had only shown the strength of a level 2 hunter when he was surrounded by millions of zombies at base C1. But this time, the hunter group followed him out. Mo sure found that this guy was a level 4 hunter. But although a level 4 hunter was strong, the zombies surrounding him were all level 4 and 5 mutated zombies. Under the siege of these zombies, he quickly fell into a passive position. But even so, his eyes were red, and he fought with his life. He couldn't die. If he died, his parents wouldn't be able to escape. Thinking of this, he roared like a beast. The veins on his forehead bulged. He kept killing the zombies around him. At the entrance of the village, the rescue team had also appeared. When they saw that the person fighting the zombies in the village was Lu Wang, they were all enraged. Lu Wang also saw the humans at the village entrance. At first, he was extremely surprised. How could these people still be alive? He clearly knew how strong the claw-marked zombie was. It might have reached level 7 or even level 8. In front of the claw-marked zombie, these people were simply throwing their lives away. Soon, his gaze landed on Mo sure. He understood that it was a mysterious expert. But soon, he thought that if the claw-marked zombie used the blood pool, its strength would be greatly increased. Most likely, it would rise to level 10. No matter how strong the mysterious man was, it was impossible for him to be a match for a level 10 mutated zombie. What was going on? But then, a glimmer of hope rose in his heart. He brandished his genetic weapon and forced back the zombies within 100 meters. He turned around and shouted to the people at the village entrance. I'm sorry. But what can I do? They captured my parents and forced me to lure the mysterious expert over. I didn't want this to happen. At the entrance of the village, most of the people looked on coldly. Another hunter replied, "That's right. So this is the reason why you betrayed your brothers?" Lu Wang shouted as he fought. "No matter what, it's all my fault. If I die, I die. I only beg you to take my parents away." Everyone was silent. No one responded. Lu Wang didn't hear any response. His voice was already hoarse. "Are you going to watch two civilians die tragically in front of you? Is this what you call humanity?" Everyone was still silent. Now that two civilians were surrounded by zombies, should they save them? Of course they should. But the sons of these two civilians betrayed their brothers in order to save them. They didn't hesitate to sacrifice more than 50 lives. They even lured the mysterious expert into a trap set by the zombies. If they went to save them, wouldn't they be too despicable? Repay evil with good. How should they repay good? But if they just watched two civilians get trapped by zombies and didn't go to save them, they might not feel at ease in the future. In the end, their eyes fell on the deputy leader Guo Jutao. As the deputy leader, Guo Jutao should be the one making the decision. But Guo Jutao's eyes fell on Immortal. Everyone suddenly understood, and their eyes fell on Immortal. If the mysterious expert didn't forgive Lu Wang and they rashly went to save them, wouldn't they offend the mysterious expert? Immortal naturally felt everyone's gaze. His clear and cold eyes didn't even spare Lu Wang a glance. He said indifferently, "In the apocalypse, protecting yourself is the most important thing." Lu Wang was indeed a filial son. In order to save his parents, he crossed 500 kilometers of zombies and mutated beasts in the wilderness. Most people probably couldn't do it. But for his parents, he betrayed his brothers. To put it bluntly, it was selfish. For such people, he naturally wouldn't save them. Hearing Immortal's words, everyone put away their thoughts of saving them. Lu Wang's bloodshot eyes were filled with despair when he saw that no one had the slightest intention to save them. He roared hoarsely, "If you don't save my parents today, I won't let you go even if I die and become a ghost." A moment later, he was bitten by a strong mutated zombie on the back of his neck. With such injuries, he killed 3 strong mutated zombies in a row. Finally, under the virus infection, he couldn't hold on. 5 minutes later, he turned into a zombie. And it was directly a level 4 strong mutated zombie. After turning into a zombie, he suddenly turned his head and looked at the people at the entrance of the village. Then he roared for the first time since he became a zombie. Roar dash! He rushed towards Immortal and the others. When the others saw Lu Wang turn into a zombie, they rushed over with red eyes. They were all secretly shocked. Immortal slightly moved his telekinesis. Bang! Lu Wang's head suddenly exploded into a cloud of blood mist. At the same time, with Lu Wang's death, the other zombies also rushed towards Immortal and the others. Immortal slightly moved his telekinesis. Bang! Those strong mutated zombies below level 5, and all the mutated zombies, their heads exploded at the same time. After his telekinesis reached level 8, he could already use this move to easily kill all the strong mutated zombies below level 5. In his estimation, when his telekinesis reached level 10, even if he encountered a level 10 strong mutated zombie, he could also easily use this move to kill it. Everyone in the rescue team saw this scene, and they were all shocked. Even if this was not the first time they saw this move. But their hearts were still full of shock. After all, he didn't even need to move his fingers to kill so many strong and mutated zombies. This visual impact was too strong. Especially the 2 psychokinesis. With their telekinesis, it was a bit difficult to use this method to explode the heads of a few level 1 mutated zombies. The mysterious strong man exploded the heads of more than a dozen strong mutated zombies. They and the mysterious strong man were like heaven and earth. But Immortal didn't relax because of this. There were still 3 level 6 strong mutated zombies on the scene. These 3 level 6 strong mutated zombies, seeing this human standing still, exploded the heads of all the other strong mutated zombies. They were also scared. They looked at each other, let out a low roar, and then suddenly turned around at the same time and quickly fled. As they fled, they also let out a roar that shook the sky. Roar dash, not far from the village, there was a small town. There were also many zombies in the town, wandering in the snow. Some of the zombies heard the roars and responded, "That's right. Roar dash." Chapter 65. The 3 level 6 strong mutated zombies, after seeing Immortal explode the heads of the other zombies, showed fear in their gray eyes. They retreated quickly. At the same time, they roared at the sky. In the eyes of others, this was just the roar of a wild beast. But Immortal could understand that they were shaking the corpses. Translated, it was a cloud-piercing arrow. Thousands of troops came to meet. Immortal subconsciously raised his head and looked at the sky. Not far from the village, there was a small town. The roar of zombies also came from the town. A moment later, thousands of zombies, roaring like wild beasts, pounced towards the village. They rampaged, the snow behind them rising. It was a broken momentum. Through a dried-up forest. The trees were smashed into pieces. Soon, they came to the entrance of the village and surrounded Immortal and the others. Roughly estimated, there were 4,000 to 5,000 zombies. Most of them were mutated zombies. As for the strong mutated zombies, there were more than 500 of them. But Immortal did not pay attention to these zombies at all. But from the beginning to the end, his eyes were fixed on the western entrance of the village. Over there. In a huge blood pool with a diameter of 50 meters. A blood-red giant zombie, more than 50 meters long, had already crawled out. This giant zombie was not in human form. It was in the form of a giant scorpion. It had 8 blood-red long legs. On both sides of its head, there were 2 huge pincers. On the pincers, there was a metallic luster. It was as if it could clamp the mountain and clamp the sea. Behind it was a long blood-red tail more than 30 meters long. At the tip of the long tail was a thick spike more than 5 meters long. On the head of the giant scorpion, there was a huge sarcoma with a diameter of 5 meters. If one looked carefully, there were 5 human faces in this huge sarcoma. These 5 human faces were somewhat blurry and distorted. But without exception, they all revealed a sinister smile. The moment this huge monster appeared. At the entrance of the village, the members of the rescue team all changed their expressions. An extremely terrifying psychological pressure pressed down on them, causing them to fall to the ground almost instantly. In fact, the huge pressure originally made them have a strong urge to kneel down and submit. If they didn't kneel down and submit, it was as if they would be annihilated in the next moment. It was only the last bit of pride in the hunting group that prevented them from kneeling. Instead, he fell directly to the ground. Not to mention them, even someone as powerful as Immortal had the urge to kneel down at this moment. He really couldn't be blamed for his lack of willpower. It was because they had all been injected with the X2 virus enhancer. And this monster was like the ancestor of the virus. When they saw this monster, the X2 virus in their bodies seemed to be forcing them to submit to the ancestor. Immortal was a little angry. This blood pool was really too much. Every single one of them wants me to submit. Another one of them wants me to submit. Do you really think you're the virus ancestor? Anger surged in his heart. He extended his right hand to the right. He seemed to be waiting for someone to hand him a weapon. The next moment, a strange scene occurred. He saw the 4,000 to 5,000 zombies that had just rushed over. Whether it was ordinary zombies, mutated zombies, or strong mutated zombies. Their bodies, starting from their heads, were rapidly melting. Even those level 6 strong mutated zombies couldn't escape. Their heads melted into blood and flowed down their bodies. Then, it was their necks, shoulders, chests, waists, legs, their entire bodies melted into blood and flowed on the ground. When the rescue team members saw this scene, they were all shocked. What kind of move was this? At this moment, they saw that the thousands of zombies had all turned into blood. It was definitely a river of blood. The next moment, an even stranger scene happened. The blood didn't seep into the ground. Instead, it quickly floated up. Then, it gathered towards the same point. That point was Mo Shi's right hand that was stretched out. All the blood quickly gathered in his hand like iron filings meeting a magnet. Then, it slowly condensed into a solid body. At first, it was only a small stick that was less than half a meter long. Gradually, as the blood continued to gather, the entire appearance of that thing was revealed. A long spear that was about 2 meters long. The long spear was completely blood-red. On the body of the spear, there were fine scales that looked like dragon scales. From the shape of the protrusion on the body of the spear, one could clearly see dragon claws and dragon wings. The shape of the tip of the spear was a fist-sized dragon head. The dragon horns, the dragon mouth, and the dozens of barbs on the dragon head were all lifelike. The pair of dragon eyes were fiery red. And if one looked carefully, one could clearly see that there seemed to be flames burning in the pair of dragon eyes. The choice of the entire long spear was exaggerated and domineering. It gave people a feeling that it could swallow the world. At this moment, Mo Shi held the demon-devouring dragon spear in his hand and suddenly felt that his body seemed to have infinite energy. In his eyes, his gaze was like lightning. His entire body seemed to be emitting a supreme domineering, supreme majestic, and irresistible domineering aura. The moment the long spear appeared, the surrounding people actually had the urge to worship it at the same time. They were also suffering. After worshipping that and worshipping this, there was no end to it. At this moment, the 50-meter-long giant scorpion saw that this mere human actually dared to provoke its majesty. Immediately, its anger rose. The 5 heads on the sarcoma on its head actually opened their mouths at the same time. They let out 5 roars of different styles. Roar, roar, hiss, ga, meow. Then, the pair of huge blood-red pincers instantly extended over 100 meters. As if it carried the power to destroy the heavens and the earth, it attacked Mo Shi. The 49 people of the rescue team were now pressed to the ground by the huge pressure, unable to move. Mo Shi shook his long spear. He used the dragon shadow step. With a light tap of his feet, he instantly jumped 1,000 meters high. He was in the air, looking down at the giant scorpion. The demon-devouring dragon spear in his hand brazenly stabbed out. The long spear in the air actually extended over 100 meters in an instant. In the next moment, the entire body of the spear actually turned into a 100-meter-long blood-red dragon. The blood-red head was actually the size of a house. There were dozens of sharp barbs on the head. On the dragon's body, each blood-red scale was half a meter in diameter. Each of the 4 thick limbs was more than 10 meters long, like a pillar. The huge tail that was more than 30 meters long was like a giant python. A pair of huge bat-like wings with a wingspan of nearly 100 meters. This blood-red dragon roared towards the sky. The dragon's roar resounded through a radius of tens of kilometers. Within these tens of kilometers, hundreds of beasts were shocked, and thousands of corpses were terrified. The snowflakes in the air seemed to have stopped. The clouds in the sky seemed to have been shaken apart. On the ground, the 40-odd humans lying on the ground barely raised their heads. The moment they saw this giant dragon, they only felt their bodies tremble. Endless fear had already drowned them. In the next moment, the 100-meter-long giant dragon retracted its wings. It swooped down towards the giant scorpion. Its speed was as fast as lightning. Its momentum was as fierce as thunder. The spear was like a dragon? No, this was the spear turning into a dragon. Chapter 66. In the sky, the 100-meter-long dragon swooped down brazenly. It went straight for the giant scorpion. The 50-meter-long ferocious giant scorpion was also trembling at this time. It retracted its pincers and hugged the huge sarcomatous head. On the 5 distorted faces of the sarcomatous head, 10 pairs of eyes were filled with horror. Its 8 legs were trembling. In the next moment, the dragon instantly swept over the head of the giant scorpion. It waved its 4 claws. Hiss! The 50-meter-long giant scorpion's body was instantly torn into several pieces. It was thrown far away. At the same time, the dragon soared into the sky again. It soared into the sky. In an instant, it disappeared into the heavy snow. Only blood splattered like a rain of blood. Mixed with the snowflakes, it fluttered down from the sky. The world seemed to have frozen. Time seemed to have stopped. Within dozens of kilometers, all the mutated beasts and zombies were still crawling on the ground. They did not dare to make a sound for a long time. In front of the mountain village, the 49 humans had long been scared out of their wits. They were the closest to the dragon. The dragon almost swept over their heads. That kind of violent and overbearing aura from ancient times. It made them unable to even think of resisting. Dragon, since ancient times, was synonymous with mystery and power. Whether it was the Western dragon or the Eastern dragon. Whether it was evil or good. They all had power that was far beyond the reach of humans. They had thought that the Western dragon was just a legend like the Eastern dragon. They had never dreamed that one day, they would be able to see a dragon with their own eyes. This caused them to be filled with terror. Even though it was winter with heavy snow, the cold sweat on their foreheads still dripped down. At this moment, when they were still in endless fear. In the flying snow, Immortal floated down. He landed lightly on the snowy ground. He said lightly, "Let's go back." Then, he turned around and walked slowly along the snowy road. Behind him, a trail of lonely footprints was left. It was not until now that everyone came back to their senses. Looking at Immortal's back, they were all shaken to the core. They knew that the mysterious expert was very strong, but they did not expect him to be so strong. A moment later, everyone's Adam's apple squirmed. Deputy Commander, is that a real dragon? Vice Commander, are there really giant dragons in this world? Deputy Commander Guojutao shook his head blankly. He didn't know. But he knew what to do. He retracted his gaze and scanned everyone sternly. He said, "Let me remind you again. Everything about the mysterious expert is to be buried in your stomachs. When you return to the base, don't go near the corpse farm. Act as if nothing happened. The mysterious expert likes peace and quiet." Everyone's heart trembled. Yes. After that, they did not immediately move. Instead, they waited until Immortal was 2 kilometers away from them before they started moving forward. This was because they knew that the mysterious expert did not like to be disturbed. At this moment, Immortal was happy that those people didn't follow him. Actually, he was also deeply shocked in his heart. He knew better than anyone that it was not a real dragon. Instead, it was the demon-devouring dragon spear that was condensed from the flesh and blood of zombies. It was just that this energy dragon was too real, so everyone thought that it was a real dragon. However, even if it was just an energy dragon, Immortal could feel the strength of this dragon. To be honest, with his current strength, he was far from being able to block that attack. One could only imagine how powerful a real dragon would be if it were to appear. A few days ago, when he used his genetic weapon to kill the giant. This demon-devouring dragon spear was many times stronger. And one must know that the more zombies and mutated beasts that condense the demon-devouring dragon spear, the stronger the demon-devouring dragon spear. If there were more zombies and mutated beasts, how terrifying would that attack be? What made Immortal feel the most incredulous was that after such a terrifying attack, he did not feel the slightest bit of weakness. It was as if the power used in that attack did not belong to him at all. The things that he got from signing in at the blood pool were indeed different. This reminded Immortal of the map again. If he signed in at the Dragon Ruins, the things that he signed would probably be even more powerful than this demon-devouring dragon spear. The next day went very smoothly. It seemed that because of the dragon's roar, all the zombies and mutated beasts obediently stayed in their nests and did not come out to cause trouble. Immortal and the others returned to the base smoothly. When they were about to reach the base, Immortal left the others far behind and quickly flew over the base's city wall. At this time, in the zombie field in Area A, Happy was feeding the zombies for Immortal. Crippled Oldly was holding a cup of steaming hot water and gently blowing on it a few times. He drank a mouthful. Immediately, he felt his whole body warm up. He looked at the snow flying in the sky and asked, "Little Mo hasn't returned yet?" Happy turned his head, smiled slightly, and shook his head. Oldly said, "That kid, where did he go crazy? It's been almost half a month." Happy shook his head, indicating that he did not know. Oldly said, "Why don't I talk to the leader and ask someone to look for him? Don't let anything happen to him." Happy quickly turned around and shook his head. Seeing this, Oldly knew that Happy must know something. However, since Happy was unwilling to say, he did not ask any more. Moreover, Little Mo had become more and more mysterious recently. He asked them to inject some medicine, and he suddenly disappeared for more than 10 days. However, since Happy seemed to know where Immortal went, then he was not so worried. As long as nothing happened to him, it was fine. An old man like him did not need to meddle in the affairs of the young people. But then he asked again, "By the way, Happy, have you thought about what I told you?" Happy blushed slightly when she heard that. She lowered her head. After a moment, she raised her head again. She looked at Oldly with sparkling eyes and shook her head. Oldly understood what Happy meant. "I know that you think that you can't speak and that you're not worthy of Little Mo, you're thinking too much. We're all zombie rearers. Who's looking down on who? Besides, you're so beautiful. You're more than enough for him. If he were to marry you, not only would his ancestral graves be smoking, they would be on fire." A bright smile appeared on Happy's face. But then, the smile slowly turned into a bitter smile. She knew that Brother Mo was not an ordinary zombie rearers. He was a hunter. He might even be a mysterious powerhouse. How could she be worthy of him? Just as she thought of that, a voice came from the door. "Oldly, are you bad-mouthing me again when I'm not around?" "Happy, stay away from Oldly in the future. Don't be led astray by him." When Happy heard the voice, she immediately raised her head. The moment she saw Immortal, her heart beat faster. Then, the smile on her face became as bright as a flower again, and she quickly went up to him. She kept gesturing with her hands. Immortal looked at Happy's slightly red face and watery eyes. He smiled and said, "Happy, you don't actually need to gesture. When I see your eyes, I know what you want to say. Your eyes can speak." Happy was a little shy, but also a little happy. A pair of eyes that seemed to be able to speak looked at Immortal, and his gaze flickered. Immortal rubbed Happy's head and said with a smile, "Don't worry. I'm fine. I'm very healthy." Happy's hair was messed up, but he nodded happily. When Oldly saw this, he laughed and said, "Little Mo, if you become rich in the future, don't forget to make us happy." Immortal also laughed and said, "Don't worry. Even if I forget about you, I won't forget about Happy." Oldly was an honest person. He did not know how to joke. He only said, "It's fine if you forget about me. As long as you're happy. You're tuning in to the Unparalleled Sword Will YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.